Yo, what is up, everybody? We are back. It's the Standing A Podcast, episode 82. I'm your boy, Tommy Rush Jr. We got a lot of special guests going on tonight. So, hey, first, Courtney Tanner, the Burt Brown Sugar, rocking that hat. What's going on, man?
Hey, you already know what it is. Back like I never left. Hey, Courtney Tanner, aka Burt Brown Sugar, the one you love to hate and the one you hate to love. Hey, what's going on? Hey, so blessed and so thrilled to be back in the building with y'all. To do what I do best, do what I love to do, and that's talk mass quantities of shit. So let's go ahead and dispense with the pleasantries and engage in this war of words.
You already know what it is, man. You already know. Hey, we got Stephen Ruiz, Ringside Global. What's happening, man?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. Like Courtney Tanner said, man, like I'm a fireman. I'm here for the smoke, baby. Let's do this.
Yes, sir. And also, we got our boy, All Access Elite Boxing, Jimmy Blue. What's happening, man?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, reported live from Dallas, Texas. Look, guys, I want to thank each and every one of the listeners today. Make sure to follow each and every one of these guys. They know they're boxing. The Standing Gate Podcast, Ringside Global, my boy Tommy Rush, Courtney Tanner, of course, All Access Elite Boxing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, man. I'm ready to talk boxing because it's a hell of a weekend that's coming.
Hey, you already know it, man. It most definitely is. It's a great weekend coming. We got some great boxing coming up this weekend, but also we got some great boxing to talk about that's already occurred here recently. So we're gonna get right into it, man. First, what let's talk about what we were all there for, what we all witnessed. Errol Spence versus Jordanis Ugas with that 10th round TKO. We're gonna get right into it, man. We don't need no breakdown. We know what happened. We about to talk about this shit. Let's get it. So Courtney, what you got, man? How was it? Hey, one, it was a pleasure kicking it with you once again.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Like we
likewise.
always do. Knocked out some of that Uncle Julio's, you know what I mean? Hey,
Bussin'.
it was great.
Bussin'.
Yeah, I got me a swirl. The swirl wasn't the greatest, but I knocked it down anyway. But hey, always a pleasure when you come through, man. So yeah, most definitely, man. Tell us how you feel about the event.
I returned to the scene of the crime, man. Don Julio's, that was official. Dallas Fort Worth institution, man. I wasn't knowing, man, but now I know. Thanks for putting me on. Thanks for rolling out the red carpet as you do every time I come down there. Even though Steven couldn't say hi to nobody at the event, but we'll talk about that later, man. But nah, man. You know the thing about Dallas Fort Worth, the thing about Texas right now is that's the epicenter, man. That's the epitome. The atmosphere for those events and those fights down there is unrivaled. It's unrivaled. I thought being in the house, locally here in Atlanta or the Atlanta area for the Shakur Stevenson fight a few months back, I thought that was something to see. But basic 40,000 in the house for Errol Spence. That was amazing, man. And it's nights like that why I love being in the house and for boxing, and why I can't get it out of my system, man. I loved it. In terms of the fight, in terms of the performance, wow, that was a hell of a performance from Errol Spence, man. You can't. Basically, if you take anything away from him off that, then you hate him, man. And basically, we all know that Errol Spence ultimately, his eyes that were on the prize was that fight, that career-defining fight, and victory over for Manny Pacquiao, and life got in the way, and and fate worked against him. But I mean, if you could be in that situation and have any type of redemptive qualities that come from it, in terms of making it up or whatnot, he did it in grand fashion. If he couldn't get that win over Manny Pacquiao, this is one for the books for him to be able to do what he did to the person who beat Pacquiao, what he did to the person who pretty much stepped in and took the bag that he was supposed to get. Errol Spence was real nasty. He came in with that chip on his shoulder. You already knew he was going to put on for Dallas Fort Worth, and he did all that. I was on my feet, 6th round. I'm gonna be real. I thought Ugas had him. As when the mouthpiece came out, when he was backed up against the ropes, when the hands were down, I thought Ugas had that clear lane to go ahead and end things. And it was real weird. It was a real weird situation because Ugas, and I think it speaks to that Cuban style coming up in the amateur system. These dudes they're taught to be competitors, they're taught to be ruthless, they're taught to win, but they're also taught to be gentlemen. I always say boxing is a gentleman's sport. But that was to his detriment that night because he stopped. I wouldn't say he had Errol Spence dead to rights, but he could have dipped in that lane like Steve Nash, and he just didn't. He backed up, and the referee didn't even intervene when he did it. It was a real weird sequence and dynamic to that, and I think that just pissed Errol off. Because after that it was freak nasty. And the way basically the way he fought back from that adversity, I think that's the closest thing Errol Spence has ever come to getting to getting dropped in a fight, or really hurt or really shaken up, as we've seen. And he came past that, came out of that corner the next round, and it was all business. And after it was all business, that was all she wrote. Rides off into the sunset with that belt that that Pacquiao took off that Ugas took off Manny Pacquiao's waist. So amazing performance, amazing atmosphere. Boxing won that night. And it was Easter Sunday, man. Hey, I mean, it was Easter. With the weekend of Easter Sunday, it gets no better. And just for him to be able to close it out like that too, in front of the masses that were in Dallas that night. It was amazing to see, and it was worth every penny. It was worth every mile traveled. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. Wonderful assessment, man. Hey, Jimmy Blue, jump on in there, man.
Man, bro, listen, we had the privilege, brother, of being able to be at his media day. All right. Now I know Tommy spoke on this, and I actually made a few videos, man, the day of the media day, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what it is. I don't know, but my eyes don't deceive me. This guy's a man on a mission. He's hitting hard, and it sounded like a goddamn 20 gauge shotgun just going off on each punches that he was throwing at the heavy bag and even the mitt work. And I remember, man, I was within arm's length of touching him. I was just sitting down. I was recording, and I was like, man, I just felt honored, man. I felt privileged to be there because I was witnessing greatness. Now, we got to remember, if we talk about trials and tribulations or just the everything that this man had to go through, man, to even fight, you know what I'm saying? It's remarkable. You know what I mean? And he said it himself leading up, even at the press conference. You know what? I have a second chance at life and a third chance at boxing. So you can tell just by his demeanor, the way he was carrying himself throughout fight week, and just how he moved out of the city, man, moved into his ranch, and he's been real focused, man, family man, and he stays in the gym. That there was going to be issues and there was going to be problems. And I said in my video, if Ugas isn't training or if he isn't ready, it's going to be a long night for him and he's going to get stopped. He's going to get hurt bad. Now, I don't know what it is with the city of Dallas, man. There's 3 people already broken their damn orbital bone, bro. Margarito, Billy Joe Saunders, and now Ugas. I mean, the way that Earl Spence systematically broke this man down, completely broke his will. I mean, that speaks volumes, bro, because we all know the type of fighter that Earl is. He's a aggressive fighter, loves to invest in the body, and that was going to be key. But everybody wanted to see, how is Earl Spence going to be able to take his first shot coming from a detached retina? Nobody knew. You know what I mean? It could you never really hope for a freak accident to happen, especially in boxing. You get poked in the eye or just anything can happen, man, and that's it. That's the end of your career. You know, nobody knew as far as what to expect, but you know, he handled everything well, and just like he did with Danny Garcia, you know, when he came off of his horrific accident, he showed out, man, and he showed why he is the top dog at 147. Now, I love the energy. I love the amount of people that were at the stadium, and I had a chance to talk to Coach Derek James, man, even before the day before the fight. And I asked him, I was like, Coach, what do you think, man? One time I spoke with Coach Derek, man, a couple of days before the Sean Porter fight. And I asked him, Coach, what punch do you think is going to be the difference? If you had a crystal ball in front of you, what punch would be the difference? This man, and I have it on video, showed me exactly what punch, how he was going to, well, at that point, stop Sean Porter. But he at least demonstrated to me the punch that was going to make the difference. And the exact punch that Coach Derek threw was the same exact punch that Earl threw to drop and almost stop Sean Porter. So the man knows his boxing. I think he has a tremendous team. He has, in my opinion, the best trainer in the sport of boxing, Coach Derek. Everybody that I've spoken to, bro, whether it be fighters, elite level trainers, they all say the same thing, that Coach Derek is a master teacher. He's a teacher first. And you know, I think Earl Spence was well prepared, bro, for that fight. And it's a compliment to him and his team. So, you know, again, it was we were there with the media, man, and it was, like I said, everybody came down, and Earl, man, he had a chip on his shoulder and he had something to prove. What I enjoyed most about that was how Earl, as far as how he carried the event, okay, because we got to remember, Ugas is a tremendous fighter, bro. He's a hell of a warrior, great guy. I mean, you wish him nothing but the best, and it sucks that, you know, two good guys have to face each other, but it's the hurt business. But at the end of the day, you know, there was a lot of Cuban fans in the building. I don't know if you guys saw that. I saw a lot of Cuban fans, but the way that Earl was handling a lot of the media, whether he was doing his tours, man, like he was, especially with the urban audience, with the urban media, you know what I mean? Going on the radios, doing this, doing several different podcasts, man. And that's not something that Terrence Crawford would be willing to do, or any of those type of guys. He understands the business. He understands that he is one of the top guys in boxing. So, hey, man, all that shit counts, man. Especially if you can generate an additional 10 to 20,000 pay-per-views just off of that. I think he handled it well, and I think he's more than ready, man, for the next thing that's coming. So kudos to him, and kudos to his team and everybody that came and supported the entire event. So that was my thoughts, man, and I'm curious to hear Ringside Reese.
Yeah, and so ringside, when you do, because Jimmy Blue, he basically prefaced another question that I was going to ask. See, this man, he on his shit, you know what I'm saying? So talking about Ugas as well. So I want you to give your assessment, but also talk about, you know, did Ugas's performance, you know, obviously before the stoppage and everything, but did his performance exceed expectations in your eyes?
Sorry about that. Courtney made some excellent points. Jimmy Blue definitely made some excellent points. You know, I've got to say, the whole city showed out. You got to remember that there was a Texas Rangers game right next door, but there were so many stars in the building. You know, everybody was in there. Like I said, shout out to Jimmy Blue and all the Dallas media out there doing their thing. C. Hendo, Uppercuts Nation, you know, you guys in Standing 8. I wish I would have got to hang out with you guys, but I probably would have been out a lot longer. But to quickly get to your point there, I think Ugas showed tremendous heart. You got to remember, this is a Cuban defector, not one time, not two times, but 3 times. He went in there, he fought in Errol's backyard. I know that there were some Cubans there, but it was all pro Errol Spence. Every punch landed. You heard the crowd trying to pump him up. But Ugas, like Courtney said, showed out. When he got him out the mouthpiece, and Errol made that mistake, that rookie mistake, to his own words, saying, you know, that was a rookie mistake on my bad. You know, I got to protect myself at all times. You definitely got to do that against dangerous fighters like an Ugas, like a Bud Crawford, because those guys will also try and end the show if they see any weakness. So to me, Ugas showed tremendous heart, especially because that broken orbital bone didn't happen a la Canelo, Billy Joe, where you hit it, we see it immediately puff up, and then he runs around for a little while. That could have happened a lot earlier. I'm not sure which round earlier, but it just slowly started to shut. And it just shows you the destructive power that Spence has. A lot of people think he's a technical fighter. Like Timothy Bradley said, he's very technical, but he's got power, and the proof is in the pudding. He's out there busting orbital bones. That's the same stuff that Triple G does, a powerful puncher like Triple G did to Kell Brook. It happened to Kell Brook. Kell Brook took a knee. Errol Spence yanked that belt right off of Kell Brook in England, brought it back. Ugas got his orbital bone broken and is fighting tooth and nail with the ringside doctor to keep going. So that to me showed tremendous heart. I think there's a lot of fights out there for him, but for sure that was an all Errol Spence party. We were all out there, wanting him to win. Even the haters, like a Bud Crawford fan, if you want to say they're haters to Spence, and Spence fans are haters to Bud, those guys both don't want to see any hiccups, any mistakes, because we all want the Bud Crawford, Errol Spence fight. So it was one of those things where you can see it when it happened in the epilogue of Showtime, where immediately after the fight, everybody's celebrating, the whole crowd's going nuts. I was still buzzing from Big Tuck coming out to Southside the Realist. It's the Big T, UCK, chew on a mic like a mic buffet. He definitely brought it out. Everybody, there was not a single seat that was sat in, because he brought the whole roof off. Before the fight even started, everybody was feeling it. So my thing is, it was a very pro Errol Spence. That's tremendous. The city came out for him, showed him love. Like Jimmy Blue's point, he was doing all the media rounds because he knows, and I say that Derek James knows, Jimmy Blue knows, Standing 8 knows, Courtney Tanner knows, Aaron knows that this is a stop on the way to greatness. So yes, let's revel in it a little bit, but immediately after, it just shows you the brilliance of Derek James. He tells them, hey, don't forget, we got to get right back in the lab. This dude's still sweating beads from fighting Ugas, like you said, the man that just put a whooping on Manny Pacquiao for rounds and was controlled it. He just beat Ugas, and Derek James says, hey, don't lose focus. We got to get back in the lab. It just shows you the mindset of we're on the way, but we're not there yet. And that's a dangerous, dangerous man. So shout out to, everybody that was there. I wish I would have got to see Courtney Tanner, but my seats were ringside, and I think he was in Triple Z seat 399. So I don't ever get that high, but, I'll shout you out all the time.
I was ringside, bro. I was ringside.
Okay. Well, my fault. I stand corrected.
He said, hold up. I was ringside too, player.
No, it was a great fight. Everybody was
there. No, I was flying. I can't. You were ringside. I was on the floor. I was at 50-yard line.
We were all in the building. Jimmy Blue was ringside there. Shout out to C. Hendo. Shout out to Snow Queen LA. She was there. I saw some people were more excited to see her than Jimmy Blue. I didn't understand that. But, there were some good people out there. So shout out to everybody. Like I said, Ugas tremendously answered the bell. I don't see anybody that looks at him negatively, like somebody that loses a fight and they're like, yeah, that dude's done. No, Ugas has tremendous heart. Broken orbital bone, still trying to fight, not dancing around like we saw Billy Joe Saunders do, which is nothing bad. I mean, your orbital bone is broke, it's broke. Some guys will keep going. Some guys know it's over, and Ugas, he doesn't know quit. Definitely, you could tell you that when you 3-time defect and make it to America and have that American dream. So I'm glad he's better, recovering, and enjoying the fruits of his labor.
Hey, I'm calling for it. I'm calling for it now. Hey, let's get Ugas and Mario Barrios.
That's a good look. Just a very quick point. Not only that, but the magnitude of this fight, right? Even after the fight was over, the buzz kept going, even for at least a week and a half. And to me, man, so there's certain fights. As soon as the fights are over, come Monday, everybody's talking about it. Tuesday, it's about the next fight, right? Or hey, there's another big fight. No, man, this had so much buzz leading up to it. and even so much buzz leading after it, man. So, I mean, only certain fighters have that type of effect, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, no, for
Hey,
real.
I'm gonna go ahead and destroy all the good tidings of reverence with I'm gonna say it, man. Hey, now that we saw what we saw, can we get off the built-in excuse with Spence in the car accident? Hey, that's no longer a factor. Hey, we have to acknowledge that, man. Hey, the way he looked that night, no matter how it turns out against future opponents or Crawford or whatever, the built-in excuse that like, oh, he's never the same after the car accident, that holds no weight, yo. That holds no weight. Errol Spence is back and he's restored to the bad motherfucker that he once was.
Great point.
Yeah, man. Hey,
That's got to be acknowledged.
For real with that. Like that's straight up facts, man. Because I'm gonna say one thing. When he fought Danny Garcia, I saw a little bit of timidness with how he was approaching whether to be aggressive or not. Even though I felt that Danny is obviously he's a great opponent, but was he like somebody that is Danny he's flat-footed, he's not aggressive like that, he's more of a counter. So like when it came down to it, like I was questioning a little bit, like, all right, like he's still kind of dipping his toes in the water to see how he can turn his motor on and how cautious he should be. In this fight, no, like he came right out the gate, like motor on high. He was punching consistently, damn near the whole fight. He was showing his training, he was showing his conditioning, he was showing his body work. Like the uppercuts were there all fucking night. Like it was open for business, and he was taking all of that bag, man. Like it was insane. Like and so like for me, one, I know that there's been a lot of talk about the mouthpiece and how that occurred, and how Spence got hurt during that moment, and even like like Steven said, where Spence acknowledged like, hey, that was a rookie mistake, I got to protect myself at all times. He also did say that Lawrence Cole said stop, which he did. I went there, and when you look at some of those replays and in slow-mo and with the actual audio, you can actually hear it. He did say stop. So that was a very awkward moment, and he should have stepped in. And actually, if you're going to scream stop to the fighters, you got to step in there and actually.
Then you got to stop them.
Yeah, you got to get in there in the middle of it.
And I feel like we're always talking about some shit like this. Every fight that Lawrence. It's time for the Texas Department of Licensing to put this dude under review, or holla at him and just be like, yo, what are you doing, dude? Like, because it just seems like every time Lawrence Cole referees a fight, we're talking about some dumb shit.
Yeah. He most definitely had several moments in that fight. And as Steven, alluded to earlier, like the way the crowd was pro Spence, like all of those moments where he kept pausing, the action and stepping in the middle of the action and things like that, like it was getting turned up out there, like, every single time it's like, hold on, like, what are you doing? Like the crowd was going at him, but that moment, most definitely, that could have turned out pretty bad. But all in all, like, Spence and his motor, Spence and that the uppercuts and the body work, he went to town. And in my opinion, I agree. Jordanis Ugas, like he shows some serious grown out there. And he did what he put on a show, in my opinion. Like before the orbital bone incident.
Half that dude's face was hanging off, and he was pissed when they stopped it. Like that's a competitor right there. That's a competitor.
Not only that, Tommy, and to your point, as good, and to Courtney's point, a lot of people want to bring up the accident. A lot of people want to talk about that, and you know what? I don't think that's a factor anymore. And shit, I want to see a movie made out of him, to be honest with you, or at least a book. But with that being said, I'd be lying if I didn't say, well, you know what, man, we have to keep in mind, even what you said with Danny Garcia, Tommy, the guy came off of a 15-month layoff and the accident, right? So even on this fight, he's coming off another 16, 17-month layoff. So
Yep.
Earl was the first to admit that, you know what, man, I was a little rusty the first 2 or 3 rounds. I didn't feel like I had my balance. And, there was times where he would get hit, he would step back, and it kind of seemed like he was kind of falling backwards, but it was just him, regaining his balance and moving forward, just pressing the action. So it's like, I guess the question is like, if we were to see Earl, imagine if we were to see Earl twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, like how Canelo's fighting, man, I mean, that would just really, really take him to another level, because he's the type of fighter, in my opinion, that needs to stay busy, needs to stay focused, has to be in the gym. And the only way to get him motivated and get him in the gym is getting him those fights and keeping him busy, bro, because there's no reason any fighter, I don't care if you're with PBC, Top Rank, or whoever, should be fighting every 15 months. I'm sorry. This is prize fighting, and at that level, it's uncalled for. It's unneeded. It's not warranted.
Totally agree. Steven, what's up?
I just wanted to shout out Anthony Saldana. He said exactly what I wanted to say is definitely like Josh Taylor versus Ramirez when, Taylor was getting his off the breaks. You know what I mean? It was just the phone booth, dirty boxing style tactics. And if you win, hey, all power to you, because what do they say? The winners write the history books, not the losers. So when it's all said and done, hey, if you did it and you got away with it and the ref let it happen, you were just fighting within the squared circle there, and you're doing what you have to do, fighting tooth and nail like a dog on a bone to get the win. And that's what I want in a fighter, whether that's Errol Spence, if you're Team Spence, whether you're Team Crawford. So shout out to Anthony Saldana, because that was something I was going to bring up, that, hey, Taylor did it, and he did it beautifully. And guess what? Taylor's undisputed. Just like Crawford was, you got to do what you got to do when you're in there. Shout out to Pitbull Isaac Cruz. That was a great fight. That guy is showing that, hey, it wasn't just a fluke that, I fought Tank and I showed that I was a talent. He really, showed out as well. He showed his toughness, that he's young. He could get a little bit more technical. However, when you're that young, that strong, you can afford to be a little bit wild and still take care of business. If he does a little bit more technical versus just trying to brawl out Mexican ballroom style, then, he could be something crazy. And so there's talks of Brian Garcia and him next. Hopefully that happens. Shout out Brandon Lee. He's another one of my favorite fighters. He was on the card. Shout out, I guess, to what was that guy's name? The guy that beat my boy Josecito Lopez. I had money on Josecito. I lost. That's okay.
Cody Crowley.
Yep, Cody Crowley.
I guess shout out to him. He won, so you got to take my hat out to him. But whatever. Tremendous fights. All of Dallas was there. Jose Rendon brings up too. Shout out to the nutritionist. Errol Spence, how many times during the Showtime All Access shouted out his nutritionist? Right after Al Heyman, the nutritionist name was mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, he did wonders. And Errol Spence said, I didn't know why I didn't do it sooner. It's a tax write-off. I should have been doing it. That's something he needs to keep doing. And the other thing he needs to do is, I know he's got some money. He needs to invest in a proper mouthpiece, because he said that, that one gets knocked out. What are you doing? Stop going to Walmart for them Everlast mouthpiece. Go to the grill doctor, or go to somebody world-renowned. Go to Johnny Dane. Go get something, man. Go. I don't know, but you can't keep going in there with your Invisalign, hoping that that's going to save you. We need something better for a top fight.
Hey, I want to touch base on Isaac Cruz though.
Go ahead.
It was an impressive performance, but I'm not all the way impressed. Reason being is Gamboa is tailor-made right now to be a showcase opponent. I see flashes of some brilliance with Isaac Cruz, but I'm one of those people. You got to show me something to impress me, dog. And I'm gonna need to see some. I'm gonna need to see more substantial opposition for a win for me to be all the way impressed with Isaac Cruz. I take nothing away from the performance. The performance, I'm gonna consume it as entertaining. But the thing is, also in the midst of it, I was like, how many more times are we gonna see Gamboa get whammed out and somebody else get anointed? So but I mean, this is the thing though. I'm looking forward to seeing Esau Cruz in those better matchups. I mean,
No,
because
and
stylistically, the kid is platinum, bro.
you made a good point, Courtney, and I think like you said it best, man. It all, in my opinion, it all depends on opposition. But just the raw, let's just say attributes and talents, it's there. We have to keep in mind, uh, the 135 division is a rich division that has so many different styles, and that's the beauty. But what I love about that division is that we got to look at the guys that are 26, 25, and under. We got Teofimo Lopez, Cambosos, Devin Haney. Eventually, Shakur Stevenson is going to move up to 135. We got Ryan Garcia, this guy, Isak Cruz. I would even throw, there's a sleeper pick. A lot of people never talk about this guy, William Cepeda, the Camarón. He's with Golden Boy at Southpaw. He's another guy that comes forward from Mexico, is undefeated, 25-0, 23 knockouts. There's a lot of those type of guys. And the beauty about the talent in that elite level, man, is everybody has a different style and a different approach. All guys have sensational knockouts, but I think Isaac Cruz brings and I forgot Jojo Diaz's name, but he brings a little something different. No, does he have a jab? No, this guy's not a jabber. This guy's a mauler, a brawler. He's going to come in. He's going to try to cut off the ring. He's going to try to bring that excitement and just he's like you mentioned, he's always going to be entertaining, and people are going to always want to see him fight. He's always going to be in close fights. And, I know you mentioned that you would want to see him against tougher opposition. I agree. But I would also say that, him going against Tank Davis when he had his opportunity, that fight itself was very, very close. It could have gone either way. You know what I mean? So I hear what you're saying, because I think he is technically flawed. But there are certain things that he does do better than a lot of the other guys. But, like you mentioned, brother, I guess when styles make fights, and when those styles mesh, who do you favor? You know what I mean? Do you favor the better fighter, the better boxer, the better puncher, the guy with the better ring IQ? Does he stand a chance? Possibly. But, I mean, that's the beauty about boxing. And I guess, I love to see it. You know what I mean? Nonetheless.
Yeah. I don't want to bog it down, because I know Isak Cruz isn't one of our main topics to hit on. But yeah, I'm just gonna say the thing that strikes me about Isak Cruz, though, and y'all can quote me on this or take a mental note, is he's too small to fight the way that he does. That's not gonna pan out well as far as longevity. The thing about Isak Cruz is, I think if I had anything to do with his career, I would move him down in weight. I just, I think Hart has him in the upper echelons of 135, but I think at 130, 126, he could be a real problem.
Yeah, he can most definitely be a problem. Right, like you said, his heart and that pit bull. That's why he got that name. That pit bull mentality is what's really getting him, man. I gotta say this, because the shit was funny as hell. Like while we there at the fight, and he's fighting, and like all of the fans, they was just like cracking all these neck jokes, just because like, I mean, the dude is just stout, and he's like, man, like, no wonder, like, you can't knock this dude out. He ain't even got no neck. Like, he just all head, shoulders, and muscle. Like, he's really like a pit bull, and he's coming in there ready to kill. And so I just, it was so hilarious, man. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole entire event. Shout out to Coach Hector Lopez for, he actually was in town, was there at the fight as well. So shout out to him. Love that dude, man. Hey, so let's talk. I mean, we danced around it a little bit. We know that the promotional barriers are now gone. We know that Terrence Crawford is a free man. We actually heard Spence in the ring once he collected that third Infinity Stone. He said, "Hey, everybody know what I want now. Like he said the name, he called out ringside, and he been and to be honest, you know, like what we've been talking about, and even like hold on, and even like Stacks said, shout out to Stacks. You know, the future fight afterwards with Crawford was everything. Like after that fight, ringside, and days after, the Twitter beef that was popping off, like Pac and Biggie. Like,
anything less would have been civilized, yo.
What's up?
I say, you know what I'm saying? Everybody went off when he, you know what I'm saying, when he addressed Crawford and was direct about it. But I say that, you know what I'm saying, I say this, hey, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's what we needed to hear, that's what we wanted to hear, that's what needed to be said. But anything less would have been uncivilized.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No,
it's like,
absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you can't beat somebody's ass like that and then not call out or mention the name of the dude who's had the most smoke. You know what I'm saying, or who's had your name in his mouth for months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it had to be addressed.
Yeah. Oh man, most definitely, man. And just the back and forth that ensued after that. The responses back and forth, like, hey, keep that same energy. Like, you know, the memes with knocking on the door, you know, with the big fish, like the coming back with the big fish tore up. Like it's that shit has been they already hyping that thing. Steven, what's up?
Do you think that there was a very big opportunity miss? I happen to think so. I don't know why Crawford was not in the fight.
He should have been there.
I remember when Canelo, everybody knew where the road was going with him and Triple G. You know, you have Abel Sanchez and Triple G showed up. And then he said, you know, they already had the promo video cut for that, you know, and they said, you know, Triple G, you're next, my friend. He invited him in the ring. The fight does gangbusters. You're Terrence Crawford. You're in Omaha or wherever you're at. You know this is a mega fight. You know everybody's looking for you out there, and you don't pull up. I just think it was an opportunity missed because this, to me, is now, you know, that translates to dollars. You have you have Bud show up, pop in the ring, say, hey, you didn't show me nothing special. I'm still coming for that ass. You know what I mean? Now you have some heat, you have some friction, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and now you can lead that up. Why I think maybe he didn't show up is he's going to maybe have that tune-up, like Errol alluded to. Tune-ups are for people that are unsure of themselves. He probably said that because he knows maybe Crawford can sign a 2-fight deal a la Thurman, then him. So maybe that's all, you know, some chess, not checkers. But I just think there was a huge opportunity missed to sell that fight by Crawford showing up with all 30 of his fans from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, no, I think so. And Courtney, I'm about to kick it to you. The one thing I'm gonna say is when you mentioned the Canelo Triple G, they did that shit like it like fucking Vince McMahon was in on that shit. Like that shit was like WWE style sold. Like I thought the Undertaker was about to get in the damn ring with him. Like that shit was so on the money. Like so yes, I do feel like this fight. This Mayweather Pacquiao-esque type build-up that we're getting, they could have made that shit pop if he would have showed up in DFW, got in Jerry World and in that ring, and stood face to face with him, and they just jawed at it for a minute. That shit would have been love right there. Courtney, what's up?
Hey, first off, I want to shout out Jimmy Blue, man. Left the frame to get him another beer, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hey, keeping it all the way gangster, yo. Hey, we acknowledge you, bro. We acknowledge you. Yeah, hey, honestly, I think that thought passed through a majority of people's minds is that, like, yo, why didn't Crawford pull up, man? Because Errol Spence pulled up at his, you know what I'm saying, at his last fight, though, you know, and
he dipped after, but
saying because it was on camera. No. You know what I'm saying? He dipped out of, you know. But I got two theories. You know what I'm saying? I got two theories. These aren't even based on fandom or emotion or anything. You know what I'm saying? As I digested it, one, I think Crawford would have been pretty stupid to roll up in Jerry's role with that energy and that much hype. You know what I'm saying? And that much of a core Spence audience. I don't think he would have made it to the ring. I think he would have got. I think he would have got mangled if he had showed his face in there, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was against better judgment.
About that place.
Also, but also, secondly, I think from a business standpoint, is that I think Crawford on the business end, he's very non-committal as far as what type of relationship promotionally or with the networks he's about to enter into. Even though on our end, I think all of us would agree there's nowhere else for him to go promotionally or network wise than just to go ahead and sign on the dotted line with PBC and be a Showtime Fox fighter. But the thing is, I think the message that that would have sent is that, okay, I'm all the way down with Heyman and PBC, when the reality of it is Crawford still hasn't signed yet, and he's held out for whatever reasons. You know what I'm saying? Sub theory to that is I honestly think Crawford is entertaining a fight with Taylor or with Victor Ortiz. As a free agent. I think those fights are honestly in play. I think the likelihood of him fighting those two before fighting Spence or fighting a tune-up in order to get to Spence, I think it's less likely than that scenario. But I mean, I think that, just looking at the business of boxing and looking at the situation for what it is and not what we want it to be, there is a reason why Crawford has not signed. And some people are going to say it's fear or he's ducking or whatever. Hey, we can get into those theories. You know what I'm saying? It's real talk on pound for pound. On Standing 8. But I think ultimately that was the statement he was making by not pulling up, is that saying I'm not down with PBC yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm still weighing my options. I still have other avenues that I can go down. So,
look, I want to add something if y'all don't mind. You made a great point, Courtney. You said that if Bud Crawford would have went to Dallas, hey man, it may have been one of those situations where, damn, the atmosphere is pro Earl Spence. Maybe possibly would have got mauled. I'm not saying that Terrence Crawford's scared or anything, but what I do know is Crawford was in Colorado Springs because he also manages and somewhat promotes other fighters that he has in the stable, and he was helping a lot of those guys get ready for a upcoming fight that they had. Yeah, and shout outs to Jose Rendon, aka the Boxing Prophet. Shout outs to Stacks, my boy Boxing Ruckus, Jerry Salinas. He says, you know what? He didn't show up for the Earl fight, but he's going to show up to the Oscar and Shakur fight. Look, we also have to keep in mind, let's call a spade a spade. I asked the question. If we go back and go to the original press conference of Ugas, the kickoff of Ugas and Spence, sometimes there's tough questions that you got to ask. And I was the one that asked Earl the question. Earl, what is it going to take? Why hasn't this fight happened? Bud himself has said that he's had conversations with you personally via telephone. What is it that, basically the ball's on your court. And Earl, much respect to him, Earl said, you know what, man, in boxing, we have egos. You see what I'm saying? He's like, a lot of that is somewhat my fault as well, is what he said. This is his words, not mine, that, he doesn't feel that he has to basically, tell the fans what's going on, but he's his own boss. He walks at the beat of his own drum. You know what I mean? And I feel that, Bud's the same way. But in the same sense, I mean, when Bud was with Top Rank, you had Bob Arum that was basically shitting all over him, throwing him under the rug, throwing him everything but the kitchen sink. And, Bud didn't really clap back at him until he was already getting close to getting out of his contract. Is when Bud started really opening up and, basically spitting out fire. But I think that this is me just speculating. Him being signed with MTK Global and a lot of that shit that was going on with the FBI and, all this other stuff, maybe it was in his best interest to stay home. Maybe it was in his best interest to wait it out, see how the court was going to play it out with regards to his, advisor or his manager or whatever it is that he had going on with MTK Global before he could, show face and even begin talking terms or a potential fight with Earl. But I mean, I think that, with boxing, man, this is an alpha male sport. So everybody wants to get positioning, right? Everybody wants to position themselves to be the A side. In my opinion, Earl Spence is clearly the A side with regards to the amount of pay-per-views that he sold compared to Crawford's. You got 3 belts versus 1, but Earl himself said, you know what? I was kidding. I was playing around when I said 70-30s, 75-25. But you know what, man? Let's come to an actual an agreement that we can agree to. And in my opinion, I think a 60-40 split is reasonable. Hell, even 55-45. You guys, everybody touched on this. Let's make it happen, man. We don't want this fight to over marinate. We don't want it to be another, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, because we have to understand and we have to keep something in mind. Terrence Crawford is 35 going on 36 years old. Earl Spence is 32 years old. And I raised the question to him, Earl, and you guys can check it out on All Access Elite Boxing on YouTube. I asked him, Earl, what is your thoughts, man, when you look at Devin Haney going all the way across the pond to Australia to fight George Kambosos, Shakur Stevenson fighting Oscar Valdez. When you see these young guys fighting each other, they're willing to take less money in order to chase glory in hopes that they become either pay-per-view stars or end up generating and making more money in the future. What are your thoughts on that? And he was the first one to admit, you know what? I respect them, is what he said, because those guys are young. They're 23, 24 years old. Even if they lose, they still have an opportunity and they still have that window for them to bounce back and even fight for another title. He said, I am 32, 33 years old. I don't have that luxury, so I have to take care of my family, and I have to look at it from a financial standpoint because it's prize fighting. You know what I mean? And that took a lot of balls for him to say, you know what I mean? Because it's the truth. And they call him the truth for a reason. So, much respect to him for his honesty, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? These guys are in their mid to late 30s. So we got to make the fight happen like now, God damn it. You know what I mean?
Hold up, but let's pump brakes on these pay-per-view numbers, though, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? As good of an event as that was, it did 250, 275K. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence, I think his highest gross was Mikey Garcia, and that didn't even do half, $500,000. So, and we already know it's already been a source of discussion on this show, as Steven is going to remind me that, Terrence Crawford's numbers have been dismal. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. But let's not draw the narrative that Spence is yet doing Floyd Mayweather numbers or Canelo numbers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think, the notion that Spence is A-side, yes, that goes without me saying. There's really no more argument in that because he's got 3, he's got 3 belts. Crawford's got 1. But Crawford's got the belt that Spence has stated that he wants. So, and with that being said, in that these two are going to do numbers in the superstar range without each other at this point. So, I see this as a situation where Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, no matter how you feel about either one, they both need each other to get to that next level of stardom. Spence is further along on that level, though. He's further along in that path. He's further along in that trajectory as far as name recognition in the mainstream of sports outside, and not restricted to simply boxing. So, whereas Crawford he's your boxing, he is a boxing fan's attraction. But Errol Spence is on his way to being a sports attraction. So
no, but you, as you mentioned, Courtney, you said it earlier, brother. Who holds the keys? I think Al Heyman holds the keys. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do what Al Heyman wants you to do, then hey man, he can keep you, on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying? Because what is Bud gonna do? Yes, he may have a potential fight with Virgil Ortiz or even Josh Taylor with Top Rank, but the likelihood of making the amount of money that he needs to make, what happens after those fights? He doesn't have anything else. So it's like, man, it's tough. I think Earl, like you mentioned, is in a better position. He's in a better A side, and I guess to be the shot caller, I guess if we can, call a spade a spade. But it's just because even if he doesn't fight Spence and says, you know what, the hell with this, I'm moving up to 154. I want Jermell Charlo. Well, guess what? If Al Heyman don't want you to fight Charlo, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, what I'm saying? And then ultimately, let's look at these two matchups that I raised: Crawford versus Taylor. That's probably just an ESPN fight, maybe an ESPN Plus fight. If it does do pay-per-view, it does pay-per-view on the same level as when he fought Khan. Virgil Ortiz, that's a fight that's going to bring people out to the venue. That's going to put a lot of asses in seats. That's not going to do big television. So, I mean, it's as far as his options, you know what I'm saying? He might have other options, but if he wants to get this bag, he needs Spence to do it. And Spence is in a better position. If these two didn't fight each other and went separate ways, Spence is going to be the better person for, you know what I'm saying, for that. Or Spence is going to be all right on a deeper level than Crawford would if they don't fucking link up and have each other. That's I think it's easy to see that.
What you got, Steven?
Just putting on my Bud Crawford promoter hat. There's no way you could take that Josh Taylor or Virgil Ortiz fight before Spence, because what's going to happen if you pull Tank Davis? You break your hand or you get cut or something like that. These are not guys that are just easy out. These are guys that can potentially kill that fight. So what good is it if Josh Taylor goes out there and dirty boxes Bud and smokes him, and now what? Now it's watered down completely everything. And if I'm a promoter, if I'm Bud Crawford, if I'm Spence, our money just got cut in half because Josh Taylor, who the other 135, undisputed guy, just put out Bud Crawford, and all that hype, all the momentum, all those years you wasted get completely put out. Same thing with Virgil Ortiz. He's not going in there to lose by any means. So if Bud Crawford gets cut, gets dropped, gets concussed, has a broken hand, that just delays the fight even further. So that to me is why it is like a Thurman or somebody on the lower end. So that way that fight happens. But if you're putting on, because there's the business side of boxing and then there's the fighting side. And the business side is staying the hell away from Josh Taylor and Virgil Ortiz or Boots. And if there anybody that else is dangerous that's going to jeopardize my Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather type mega event, we're not going to throw in no hiccups. I'm staying the hell away from that. That's in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think Josh Taylor, seeing it for what it is, and how I really rate these guys and how I really assess them. I'm obviously not saying either dude is garbage. I think they're about as dangerous to Crawford as Ugas was to Spence. Which, I mean, we saw there was a dangerous moment for Spence, but I'm be real with you. I can see Crawford doing to Taylor and Virgil Ortiz what Spence just did to Ugas.
But the reason that
there might be difference of opinion, but I would say on the level of comp, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that's.
But you're having Bud Crawford take dangerous fights with Virgil and with Taylor, who present him nothing. The reason Ugas fight happened with Spence is because he had a belt to get to 3 to come to the table with more poker chips than Bud. So that's just not a good fight when you look at it, when you slice it any which way. This is not good for business. Just like a Benavidez. The reason he's staying avoided is he brings me no poker chips, but he could definitely bring my ass a knockout or a loss. We don't want no part of that. So that's just why, to me, the Taylor and the who was the other guy you just said? Oh, Virgil Ortiz. Sorry. That's why that can't happen, because it's all risk, no reward. You know what I mean? You come out of that fight worse, battle tested with deeper scars. So for me, like I said, I'm not a Bud fan, but as a manager, I'm like, we don't want no part of that.
Yeah,
I don't disagree. I disagree with you, but this is where I honestly see Crawford now. And Jimmy Blue alluded to this. Is Crawford is in essence coming out of an abusive relationship, and I think we've all dated a girl who came from a situation like that, or came from where the dude before you dogged her out, and then you're like, damn, why is this chick so timid? Why is she so cautious? Why, you know what I'm saying? Why is the guard up so high or whatever? I think that's where Crawford is right now, in that he's coming out of a promotional relationship where he was so unhappy. I think this dude is really tepid about entering into a deal, no matter how bad he wants this Spence fight, no matter how bad he wants this bag, no matter how obvious it is that time is not on his side, and he's basically closer to the end than the beginning. But The thing is, with Al Heyman, you know what I'm saying? That's a very you jump in the bed with Al, you might wake up with Ike Turner in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be real you gotta be real cognizant of, you know what I'm saying, of entering into these long and honestly I think that's on Spence's mind. You know what I'm saying? And these are just theories, you know what I'm saying? I'm not caping for him to fight one over the other. Like, bro, we're all on the same court in here. It's like, yo, there's only one fight we really want to see. But hey, I'm gonna raise that theory because I think the possibility is out there. And I think the possibility is out there because of, you know what I'm saying, Crawford, he could have been signed with Heyman. He could have been signed with Heyman out the gate. He could have been signed with Heyman months, weeks ago. He's still, for all intents and purposes, a free agent. I think what remains to be seen is he gonna have the same juice as Canelo to go in and be like, yo, I just want to one off. You know what I'm saying? I want a limited amount of fights. I don't think.
Hold on.
I don't. When Canelo came to Heyman with that proposal for for those two fights, you know, that was irresistible. You know what I'm saying? Al Heyman couldn't. That couldn't be denied. It's like, yo, you Canelo. Crawford makes that same demand, that same expectation. I think Al Heyman's just like, nah, you can go elsewhere.
Real quick.
My boy Courtney said Crawford came out of an abusive relationship. Hey, listen,
as an
abusive female would say, if love isn't a game, why is there so many players? Let a player play, baby. Let a player play.
Hold on. Okay. I've been sitting back a lot of the podcast letting y'all go, but Courtney Tanner, Bud Crawford did not get me too'd by Bob Arum. And if he
I knew he was gonna be on that. Hey.
Abuse me to the tune of $34+ million. You're making more money than Lomachenko, but you're saying, "Oh, I'm getting out of a shitty relationship." What kind of shitty relationship you ever been to? Put the most money in your pocket compared to a Lomachenko. Then why did you re-sign with your pimp after the first contract? That makes no sense. We all know where he's going to go. Bud Crawford's not going to Golden Boy. He's not going back to his pimp daddy Bob Arum for the third time. So there's no
love is blind. Steven, love is blind.
Well, that's a blind motherfucker because you know what you need to do. You need to go to AT&T Stadium because forget the promoters. You got to be in the business for yourself because boxers come and go. Football players come and go. So what do I got to do? I got to get while the getting's good. And if it's up to me, whether the fight's in Dallas, Texas, and I'm from Philadelphia, the stinkiest place on earth, or wherever else, I got to show up because that's where my coins are, and I got to build this mega fight because my son, my daughter, whatever, however many kids you got, Bud Crawford, 10 kids, Maurice Hooker style, 10 kids, you got to feed these guys, and it's only going to be with that Errol Spence, Bud Crawford fight. So that's why you can't worry about the promoter side. I got to do what I got to do because the trainers will always be there. The venues will always be there, but the boxers come and go. You know what I mean? You gotta get while the getting's good. So don't tell me you got abused with $34 million fucking in your bank account, and don't cry wolf when you signed 2 times. I'm a dumb motherfucker, but I ain't doing that same mistake twice.
Well, listen, Steven.
Hold on.
Like you said, $34 million. You're not crying wolf, but look, it's like a they're in divorce court. What did Crawford do? He tried to go to court and sue Bob Arum. He wants alimony, baby. Pay that alimony.
More.
Hey, hold up.
Kim Kardashian doesn't even.
Hold up, Steven. Hold up. Man, hold up, bro. I'm gonna give it back though. Hold up though, Steven. What I need you to do though is, as soon as that topic got brought up, you obviously went inward with that. With all respect, Steven, fuck how you feel right now because it's not you. It's about how Crawford feels. He was in that fucking abusive relationship. Secondly, you need to go watch a Tyler Perry movie because you can be in an empty cage and still be getting your ass whooped, yo. You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, we already know. We've already rehashed this. We've already hashed this in the last show. We already know it. We already know why Crawford re-signed with Aram, because he was promised the world. That's how people get roped back into abusive relationships. He was promised the world. Hey, he was promised that sweet and savory Manny Pacquiao fight, and it never materialized, man. Hey, Bob Arum broke that man's heart, bro. Bob Arum broke that man's heart because because the thing is, this is the guaranteed money. That was after Manny Pacquiao went across the street, the guaranteed money, all that was attempts to placate Crawford. But Crawford ultimately, I believe Crawford looked at that as like, yo, that was my chance to define my career. That was my chance to be a superstar. And he's on some, that Marlon Brando shit, man. I could have been a pay-per-view star, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but it never happened because he didn't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, yo. And hey, he's touched. He's touched because of that, yo. I think Crawford is gonna forever have that on his mind, on that chip on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I get it, Steven. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Steven, hey, I'll stay up in the crib with you and let you beat my ass for $3 million guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that we have a totally different perspective on that because we get up and go to work every day and are underappreciated and all that bullshit in our lines of work or whatever.
Motherfuckers get abused for $17 an hour.
That relationship with Aram, it hit different because he was in it. He was in it. All you're seeing is like, yo, he made X and X amount. You know what I'm saying? It's like I told you last show, though, man. I can spit. Hey, I can spit on you. I can spit on you, but we're not going to be good after I give you $100. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I can disrespect you, and you would still not be inclined to be, at my feet for my benevolence or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Money is than the guy that got treated right. If you feel disrespected to your core, money is not going to erase that, man. You know what I'm saying? Steven, man, and this is kind of scary. It's like, yo, can you really be bought? That's how you're talking right now, man. It's like, yo, can you be bought? Like,
some fighters can, and he signed up twice.
Hey, because he re-signed on a premise that did not materialize.
Okay, so let's pretend that premise didn't materialize, and there's no more sides of the street, but you're still looking back at what could, should, would have happened, and you're signing Bob Arum for being racist or whatever that lawsuit is, but we don't hear nothing about that anymore. There's no more sides of the street. You're a free agent, and you're signed to nobody. What are you doing? You're just sitting at the green light. Hey, dude, take off. And if I'm behind your ass, I'm honking. Get the fuck on.
But I don't disagree. But at the same time, if you're coming from a situation where you were ultimately unhappy, if you were coming from a situation where you felt disrespected, I think it's only natural. It's only part of the human condition that you be cognizant and you be cautious and you dip your toe in the water or whatnot to see what the temperature is before you enter into your next relationship that's going to possibly be long term and where there's going to be a lot of money on the line.
Okay.
Knows where you... Sorry.
All right. I see. I wish I had like them sound effects like on Around the Horn Rocket, but mute everybody and shit. Hey, we're gonna have to do like a part 2 of that shit because y'all motherfuckers will go all night.
Hey, great points by both.
Yeah, for real. Hey,
hey, Steven, I acknowledge you, bro. I acknowledge you.
Hey, let me just say this. I got mad respect for how the whole panel carried the analogy for a very long time and like took it into different angles and shit. Like we went to divorce court. We was like through a whole
shout out to Tyler Perry, yo.
Yeah, Tyler Perry. Like it was a whole thing. Like we just made
broken
a movie
hearted
out of this whole damn thing. So like, hey, much respect to all of y'all for doing that shit because I love
boy.
Yeah. So moving on. Let's talk a little bit about something a little bit lighter. Let's talk about Tyson Fury and his 6-round TKO.
There's only one Tyson Fury.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Michael Gomes. Shout out to Michael Gomes, our boy. Hey man, the 6-round TKO, you know, so obviously he came in there and he did his thing against B Sample. So against Dillian B. Sample White. But after that, let's talk a little bit just about Tyson Fury. Let's talk about some of his announcements, as far as that at this point in time, he's talking about that he's stepping away from the game and he's going to retire and when he has unfinished business against an Anthony Joshua or Alexander Usyk. Let's talk a little bit about it. Like overall, I mean, we could quick touch points on the fight if you want, but the fight was what it was. He came in there and he dominated that fight. We knew what was going to happen, but let's talk about a little bit of this post fight action that's going on and what your thoughts are about one, him saying and deciding that he may be stepping away, if he really is, or if this is just some of his showmanship, or or if he actually is, and then just your thoughts overall, about, if anything, if he does, where do you place him as in the heavyweight division? Jimmy Blue, what's up?
Look, man, I think, I had an opportunity of meeting Tyson Fury, man. He came down with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders, and you know what, man? He was very cool with me, very humble, very the way that he was embraced by the Texas fans, and you have to understand, here in Texas is primarily Latinos. You understand what I'm saying? So he was like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean? Like everybody was just, he signed every goddamn autograph, took every picture. And he even threw some shade at Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia had passed right by him. And, I like Mikey, man. Mikey's a good man. He's a good dude. Mikey had to go somewhere. He was in a rush, and he didn't get a chance to take pictures with everybody. And Tyson called him out on it. He was right there. He called everybody out. He took every picture, everything. And I think with Tyson Fury, man, I think, the man is, 34, 35 years of age. He's done a lot. He's accomplished a lot in the sport of boxing. We got to remember, I don't want to say that he kind of suffered the same thing of what Errol Spence did, but man, this guy battled addiction, and this guy battled mental health, and the way that he was able to bounce back and rejuvenate the heavyweight division, the way that he did, the guy is very, he's very ballsy, man. He has a mouthpiece on him, but he backs it up, bro. And like if I had to define what Tyson Fury is, I'll go back to when he fought Deontay Wilder, bro. The way he rose up like the Undertaker. Shout out to my boy Tommy. Man, bro, that spoke volumes, man. This guy has no quit in him. He's all heart, man. He carries his emotions on his sleeve, and you can tell he's a really good family man, bro. And when you hear, one of the things that he said that really, really like struck a chord with me, and I posted it, bro, on All Access Elite Boxing. He said, "When is enough enough? When do I get a chance to be the father to my kids, to take them to school, to be a brother, to be a husband, to be this? When is enough enough? I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish in boxing. I'm undefeated. I'm the second guy to ever be undefeated and potentially retire in the heavyweight division. I'm rich. I've made millions of dollars, and I beat the guy who everybody said that was indestructible and this and that. Bro, he's accomplished so much, man, but he takes so much shit and so much heat because, obviously he's from across the pond. And I think when you're comparing a guy like him to a Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, you have to consider, or even a Klitschko, you have to consider him, bro, amongst the best of the best, the elite of the division, not just in our era, but from his skill sets, his boxing IQ, and the way that he was able to take care of business in the ring. I love this style, man. I love his trash talk, and he always backed it up, man. And he would cause problems to any of those guys. Does he have the best chin? Absolutely not. I mean, he's been dropped, he's gotten up, but the guy has heart, and he has what we call him in Mexico, huevos. The guy's he has a tremendous heart, bro. So cajones, and much respect. If he retires, you know what, man? Salute to him. Do I want him to retire? Hell no. Because at the end of the day, brother, he has unfinished business. Usyk and Joshua, and I would even throw Andy Reese's name in there. But as you mentioned, Tommy, And the old saying in boxing goes, if you're already talking retirement, bro, you're already 1 foot out the door. You know what I mean? So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, I agree with that, man, and you can really tell from a lot of his statements, as you mentioned. When do I have time to be a brother, a husband, a father? All of those things are literally on his mind. He's talking about how much money. He's like, I'm rich beyond imagine. Like I've done it all. I've lived it. So what more is there for me to actually prove? And to be honest, it's not a lot, other than what us fans and pundits, and purists want him to prove. But that's the same thing like any other time, that fanatic, gene that's in all of us. We want to see the blood, the guts. We want amazing fights. And what happens on the back end, that's one thing that he mentioned. I could still see, I could still talk great, I'm in great health. Like, it's kind of like what Mayweather said as well. Like, I could pick my grandkids up and I could play with them and I could do all of that. Like, when am I going to have time to be able to do all of those things? And I've given all of this time in my life, to boxing, training, traveling, doing all of that. Like, when do I get to do this? So, I can see those points. Steven, what's happening, man?
I was just going to make mine real short and sweet because I know we put too much on the last segment. So I'll alley-oop it up to Courtney and he can slam dunk for as long as he likes on that one. I just think for Tyson Fury, it is up to him to decide that, hey, I'm out. I owned up to my side. We forget that he was in WWE while he's doing that. He signs with Bob. He's doing all the stuff for ESPN. He's mainly, obviously from overseas, but he's in America, at ESPN doing all the, the pressers and doing everything that he can. Let's not forget when this started, the mega fight. I'm over there. I was looking to book my ticket to England. Was Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad versus, Anthony Joshua at Wembley. That's what everybody wanted. That's what the buildup was going. And here comes Tyson Fury to upset the apple cart, to have a 3-fight trilogy with Deontay Wilder, become the better man, all while he's taking care of business. AJ was not getting beat, upset by Andy Ruiz. So at the end of the day, to me, Tyson Fury can say, hey, I showed up. I was there at the final poker table. You didn't make it past the lobby. I did what I had to do. I have my belt. I have my riches. I have my cognitive ability. So to me, he can definitely, get out because he did what he had to do. He never get upset. And while I did think, I don't know if this is the guy to, beat Deontay Wilder, when I saw old videos of him uppercutting himself, I was like, Deontay Wilder is about to, drop a bomb on him. And he did. And to his credit, yes, to Jimmy Blue said, his chin is not that strong, but his heart's bigger, so it made up for it. So that's all I have with Tyson Fury. I think, my hat's off to him if he wants to do that.
Burt Brown Sugar, what's happening?
All right, I'm real hesitant about this because I know we got a UK audience and I'm about to piss them off. But hey, I'm me, so y'all can get the fuck over it because I'm gonna speak my piece on this. First off, I'm gonna say this. There's not a heavyweight in history who would have beat Tyson Fury. Y'all can quote me on that. I know that's going to be equally controversial. Hey, I think if we look at every Hall of Famer, every heavyweight within the last century that makes people's top 20, top 100, top 10, top 5 list, put any of those names in with Tyson Fury, he beats all of them. And this is the reality of it. He's too big, too freakish, too good, too smart, too intelligent when it comes to tying everything that he was blessed with together. I know some people are gonna throw tomatoes at it or whatever. Hey, I'm on wax saying it, yo. I don't think any heavyweight in the history of anybody who has ever done it beats Tyson Fury. With that being and because of that, he is a legend. If this is the last time we saw him in the ring against Dillian Whyte, and it being the second largest boxing match for live attendance filling up a whole soccer stadium in England. And this it's what people on this side of the pond don't realize about Wembley. Wembley is reserved for the English national team. That's it. No other, no other soccer teams, no other rugby teams, no other cricket teams. That's not a multi-use facility in terms of team sports. That is a stadium that is reserved for England's national team. So whenever whenever we have a big match up there, that's sacred. For him to put 95,000 asses in seat for that event, for a fight of that caliber against a Dillian Whyte, that just shows his legend, his largeness, his heroism in the minds, in the hearts of the people of the United Kingdom. That solidifies him as a legend, and that's why he's going to be in discussions and talked about and debated about for the rest of our lives and children's, grandchildren's lives to come. But with this said, I think people need to jump out of this fucking lap, because as far as this, he can ride off in the sunset and do what he wants to do, da 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 da. No, in your fucking hearts, you know that you feel fucking cheated by him fucking going out like this, yo. You know you do. You know, it might, maybe a smidgen, maybe a microscopic portion of grain within you feels fucking cheated that this is the fucking if this is the last fucking time. Dillian Whyte, come the fuck on, yo. No, I'm not good with that. Hey, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. I'm not good with that as a boxing fan. Nah. As far as this whole notion where people cape for him because he was dealing with the boozing, he was dealing with the cocaine use, he was dealing. I think anytime you are struggling with addiction, I think those I think that mental illness aspect of it, I think that depression, that goes hand in hand with it. I don't think you can be an alcoholic. I don't think you can be addicted to drugs without suffering some type of depression. So, and because I believe addiction and alcoholism are diseases, I have empathy for anybody in this world who is dealing with that. At the same time, though, if Canelo is still getting shade for eating them tacos, hey, it must be said, yo, that dude was waiting out a drug suspension because the dude popped positive for performance enhancing drugs. Hey, am I gonna shit on every performance after that by saying, oh, he was on PEDs? No, but that also needs to be mentioned in his legacy. If people are still bringing it up for Canelo, people need to, we need to call the game on both sides of the field, both sides of the court, in that shit really happened, yo. So while we're ready and willing to throw this ticker tape parade for Tyson Fury, if people want to do that, fine, but keep Canelo's name out your fucking mouth if you're gonna do that. If you're gonna ride that horse for Tyson Fury, then the discussion with Canelo as far as the tainted meat or whatever, that needs to fall by the wayside, because Canelo actually showed up to his hearings. He took his reprimand, and he served out his punishment. Whether you think it was an appropriate length of time or whatnot, Canelo showed up to court and he faced down the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Tyson Fury shrunk away from accountability and for responsibility for his use of performance enhancing drugs. That's that's what it is. I gave you the sour, I gave you the sweet, maybe not necessarily in the order that people wanted, but ultimately that's that's what I'm seeing. And to end it all off, as far as if this is how it ends, I think it's mediocre. I think it's mediocre because I still think there's an audience. I still think there's hype for a fight between him and Anthony Joshua. Right now, I mean, at least see how it plays out with the Anthony Joshua and Usyk's rematch. If Anthony Joshua if he can't lick Usyk and then he decides to do it, okay. But the thing is, with the Anthony Joshua, with that being in play, at least to a certain percentage, but then inviting Francis Ngannou in the ring with you and saying you're gonna fight modified rules against the MMA fighter or whatever, like, hey, I can never hate on the bag, but but at the same time, as a boxing fan or whatever, I'm not willing to celebrate that. I'm not content with that. I'm not good with that. Y'all know I respect everybody's opinions. Hey, this is, you know what I'm saying, as far as this boxing punditry with the social media and our outlets and the people who we appeal to. Hey, this is a fraternal order. This is a brotherhood. I love y'all. But I'm gonna be the dissenting voice on this panel in saying that, hey, it's not all good. There's an unfinished business left, and if he wants to leave it unfinished, that's cool. But I will not be celebrating that.
Well, look, I think you make some great points, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, brother. You know what I mean? Because you touched on everything, the sweet and the sour, right? But I think also, I mean, that's kind of where boxing is going. A lot of these exhibitions that we're seeing, and if the man wants to make more money, because he's already a multimillionaire, hey, you know what? More power to him. But I won't discredit the man, or I will not. Say that he hasn't accomplished a lot, because we got to remember when he dethroned Klitschko, he was the first one to do it, as opposed to Anthony Joshua, who ended up doing it a year or two later. He ended up becoming the unified heavyweight champion. Ended up getting, like you mentioned, his addiction, the way he was able to bounce back, and then at that point dethrone one of the hardest punchers, arguably, if not the hardest puncher in the heavyweight division ever, with Deontay Wilder. The way he did it, bro, and the way that he had class and how he did it, even when Wilder didn't acknowledge him or even agreed to shake his hand or anything like that. I mean, like he said, what's more to accomplish? And I agree with you. Do I think he's going to retire? No, bro. I think it's all BS. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we've seen this show before. Is he going to retire? I don't think so. I know he has unfinished business, but we also got to think about Usyk. Where is Usyk mindset? Yeah, he got that war going on in Russia and the Ukraine. Where is he going to be at with Anthony Joshua? Is he going to be at 100%? Is he going to lose? Is this, where's his focus at? I don't know. There's a lot of fucking money to be made. And you mentioned it earlier, man, when we think about the Middle East or even Dubai, and these guys are paying $100 million site fees, if not upwards of 150, 180, whatever it is. Money talks. Everything else is a small conversation. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, Fury feels that he's better. You know what I mean? And does he get the win? Can he beat those guys? I think he can, just with his boxing IQ. And Shakur Stevenson said it himself. Man, this guy's 6'9", 260 plus pounds, and fights like a welterweight. He moves like a welterweight. He is the best boxer or heavyweight in my era. Not in my era, but in Shakur's era. You know what I mean? So I got to give him a little bit more credit. I won't discredit the man, only because he was able to bounce back from what he came back. And at the end of the day, he's still undefeated. And at the end of the day, there's only one Tyson Fury, baby.
There's only one. Hey, man, for real, dude. Like, now, what happens if as we keep saying, man, like, we're alluding to that this could be a little bit of theatrics, possibly, as it very well could be with a Tyson Fury. What if we take it back a few minutes back into the podcast? What if he come out from up under the ring of Anthony Joshua and Usyk like Undertaker on their ass, and be like, "Got you, bitch! You're like, y'all thought I was gone. No, hey, let's go." Like, hey, he can hype that shit up. But I mean, no, he could just be taking a little brief hiatus, and if that's what he's doing, whatever. But yeah, there's plenty of unfinished business, which better be the name the name of the pay-per-view that gets marketed. Once that fight is over, whoever wins, they gotta come see the king. And they need to come see him. They need to come to Wembley Stadium or wherever you're gonna have it. Bro, 95,000. That's ridiculous, man. Like for a B sample Whyte, 94. Like he sold, and he said it. Tyson said it himself. He sold that shit by himself. Like he wasn't, like, Dylan Whyte wasn't participating, and when it came down to the pressers and all of that shit, like, he wasn't doing shit. He put 94,000 asses in them seats, 95,000 asses in them seats by his damn self. That's fucking nuts.
Well, let's call a spade, brother. We got to see what the prices were. You know, did they give out comps? Did they give out this? Did they, you know? I mean,
you right about
Canelo
that?
was in 70.
Hey, those tickets on the resale. Okay, and they said the statistic on the air, man. This is what caught my ear. They said the fight sold out initially in like 5 minutes or whatever. So we already know when a fight sells out that soon, companies like the ticket masters, the seat geeks and stuff like that, they got the technology. They already go on there and already gobble up those tickets, and then you're gonna see those on the secondary market.
Yep.
They were saying there were seats available. You could still get into Wembley. You could still get in the building, but up to that first bell, it was going to cost your ass £5,000. £5,000. That's not dollars. You know what I'm saying? At the exchange rate, a pound is $1.50, $1.60 most days. So you know what I'm saying? You do that math. That's close to 7 G's to get in the building, yo. Like that's crazy on the secondary market, man. In that they can offer that because there's people out there willing to pay that. That's just insane. And with, with the Floyd Manny Pacquiao, like there were there were tickets that were out there on the secondary market that were like 10 G's, 15 G's or whatever for nosebleeds or whatever. Ultimately, people were passing on that. You know what I'm saying? But this dude was getting people to to pay that. And the thing is with Fury became a continuation of Ricky Hatton, man. I say it all the time on this podcast. Whether we like it or not, boxing is a sport that breaks down along ethnic and racial lines. We all want to root for somebody who looks like us, or who speaks the same language as us, or who comes from the same culture as we
like
do.
Shakur Stevens with being Puerto Rican.
But so everybody wants to root for somebody in the ring that they can directly identify with. England for decades has not had an Anglo heavyweight who was worth, who was worth anything. If you saw that audience, if you saw the music that was jumping, if you saw the interactions, and the reaction to the crowd when he knocked out the Dosser or the Doser or whatever the hell they call it, they call a big over there, whatever. That was working class. That was working class England at its core. And that's what That's what got England behind Ricky Hatton. That's what unified England behind Tyson Fury. Is that they had a heavyweight champion who resembled the people who make up the majority of the country. And that that's special. That's not even. I'm not even chalking that up to great white hype or great white hopeism or anything like that. No, because to me, that's and what he was able to do is coming over here. And to translate that with American audiences who look at it. We've been watching boxing for years. It's really hard to get Americans to bite on a heavyweight champ. I mean, on a champ that's from a foreigner or especially from Europe or the UK. You look at the journey that Lennox Lewis had to do is where he really wasn't getting that love until it was almost over for him or whatever. But for Fury to be able to resonate over here. And then coupled with doing what he was doing over in the UK, that transcends racial and cultural barriers. Even though, he was able to appeal to them as well. That's a unifier. That's, that's a person who is really larger than life. And no matter how you feel about Tyson Fury, hate him or love him, whatever, you got to give that to him. Is that he willed himself to be a larger than life figure, not just in boxing, but in sports. The dude was global. He was on the mainstream. He did him. You know what I'm saying? Hey, always got to give Tyson Fury props for that.
Steven, did you have something?
I was just going to say shout out to Jimmy Blue and prayers for Arlington because he's definitely going through an earthquake situation out there. So praying for Jimmy Blue there in his camera situation. The second thing I was going to say is we can be real about that. And just to tie that off so we can talk about Katie Taylor and Serrano and Jake Paul and all those guys.
Where you feel, baby?
Is honestly the fact that to Courtney's point, he became a larger-than-life star, but it's because the fight before that, the trilogy before that sold Tyson Fury to the masses. He whether he did it on purpose or lucked out when he got with Bob Arum and was all over ESPN for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, commercials, all like that, promoting the Deontay Wilder, not one, not two, not three. That really engulfed him in the American fans. So you had the American fans plus his hometown that already had his back. And that's how, you get those numbers that he got. So to Courtney's point, he did transcend just from being a star over the pond to being a star in America, because we were all, like I said, ready to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua do it at Wembley Stadium, and he upset the apple cart, and he made it to the final table. They unfortunately did not. So props to him, giving him his flowers there, and on to the next one.
Love it, man. Hey, we going pretty hard right now. We going pretty hard.
Down to round 30, damn it.
We conditioned for this shit. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about what we know is coming down, and this is gonna be a big fight. The ladies getting in the ring. Katie Taylor, 20-0, 6 KOs versus Amanda Serrano, 42-1 with 30 KOs. We got Serrano. She's moving up from featherweight, challenging Taylor for them lightweight titles. Let's get y'all's thoughts on that, because this is huge. Hey, so first off, I'm just gonna say this. First off, how player was it? I'm aging myself a little bit by saying how player was it, because they don't say that shit no more. But how player was it that Serrano challenged Katie Taylor to them 3-minute rounds, and she ducked that tail quick. She's like, "Nah, I ain't with that shit. Like I ain't with that shit." But guaranteed, if she accepted it, Serrano was gonna most definitely be down for it. She was ready to expose some shit right there. So I just want to set the stage with that. But give me y'all's thoughts on it, and let's roll through it.
Look, let me jump in right quick. To your point, brother, the 3-minute rounds. Katie Taylor, man, she came out and said, what did she say? I'm not fighting 3-minute rounds for 2-minute money. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's she's calling a spade, brother. She wants to be compensated. You know what I mean? Look, women's boxing is what it is. Steven can tell you. Or no mas. Look, shout out to my boy at ringside. Look, to me, the best, one of my favorite women's fighter to watch is Super Bad Estrada. To me, bro, she's entertaining. She brings that it factor. You know what I mean?
That's our little sister, y'all.
Out there. So, to each their own, right? Katie Taylor, I don't know, bro, we're all in the boxing forums. We're all on the boxing boards. Nobody's giving her a chance to win. And you know what, bro? I think Katie Taylor's a hell of a fighter, bro. For a woman, being an Olympian, accomplished what she's accomplished. And we got to keep in mind, Amanda Serrano, bro, is moving up to fight her and challenge her for all her belts. So I really, what the hell am I missing, bro? Am I missing something? I don't know what it is. I've seen Amanda Serrano fight. You know what, man? Props to her. 7-time division women's champion, and she's the only one to ever do that. And she's being put up there as one of the greatest women fighters of all time. And rightfully so. And shout outs to Jake Paul, bro. As much shit and heat that he takes, I think he's good for boxing, bro. I think he's great for boxing. I think that he's trying to elevate the sport to a whole different audience, a whole different level that it's never been before, or rather been maybe in the early 90s, late 80s. But, he's doing everything right, bro. He's from what I like to call the technology era, the social media era. You know what I mean? These young bucks, man, they come in, they got an influence. They put something on social media, get thousands and millions of likes. And you know what, bro? If this guy dedicates his life dedicates his time or a portion of his life to boxing, where he's training, sparring, and trying to get fights, and he's trying to put on for this woman who hasn't really, truthfully, let's just be honest, she hasn't done shit for his career. You know what I mean? But he's trying to be that ambassador, bro. And that's something that I love. And I really enjoyed watching the whole build up this week with him and Eddie Hearn, who I consider the best promoter in the sport of boxing from a fan's perspective. You know what I mean? Eddie
Yeah.
Hearn's always kept it 100 with me, bro.
Yeah.
Always a cool cat, bro. And you know, being at Madison Square Garden, yeah, it's in the smaller arena, right? But you know, the way that this fucking buzz that I know we're gonna talk about it, but bro, it's on the same day as Oscar and Shakur, bro. For a women's fight, bro, to get the buzz that it's getting, it says a hell of a lot about Matchroom. It says a hell of a lot about MVP Promotions and the level of excitement that people want to see. Because, bro, I'm intrigued on this fight, and don't sleep on Katie Taylor, brother.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, man, like the buzz that's being created, like the moves that are being made, he's doing some great shit. Like just the simple fact that so many people know that him and Eddie Hearn made a bet for $1 million on this fight. Like just like everybody know that shit. That shit is viral. It's everywhere. That this big women's championship fight, these two promoters just bet $1 million on it. Like that's strategic. That's some
You're
wonderful
right.
shit right there, man.
Not only that, but Eddie Hearn roasted his ass about him not being an actual fighter. That's taking levels as well.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Steven, what's up? What you working with, man?
I'm excited for the fight. It's going to be crazy because you kind of got like that Mikey Garcia thing going up in weight where sometimes that can be very dangerous for you. You could be a very great fighter, but if you fight the bigger fighter, a lot of times they're going to, obviously, we just talked about it, Fury, they're going to put their weight on you. Sometimes all those pounds matter, and we see that in boxing time and time again. Can Katie Taylor be beat? I believe she can. I've seen her in two fights that, to me, maybe she shouldn't have got the victories, but she did get those victories. So at the end of the day, you're where you're at now. So, it is what it is. But I think Katie Taylor goes through. I think she wins that. I think Serrano knew what she was doing by trying to gas her out because Katie Taylor can fade late. So I think she wanted that because that was going to be your best shot as somebody that's very, that's a mover and has got the speed. So I think that's why she did it. Like you said, I think it's tremendous what Jake Paul and Eddie Hearn are doing. Man, Eddie Hearn to me is to Jimmy Blue's point, is one of my favorites for what he does for the fans. The fact that I think he is. I don't. Me personally, and I know even though I don't always see eye to eye with Courtney Tanner, I'm not looking at step 1 and 2. I like him. I'm looking at the end result. I'm already seen past you, the next house, and the 3 houses over. I'm looking at the end result, and I feel like Eddie Hearn is just playing nice with Jake Paul for his viewers, for his fans, and setting this up because he knows, and he already goaded Jake Paul into fighting that guy that's the Olympian that's 1-0. He was like, he'll wreck you. I have half my stable that can wreck you that are real cruiserweights. Let's not play around about that. If you want it, I got the guys to give it to you. So I think that's an intriguing aspect of it. That's another layer of it. But how do you feel if you're Serrano or Katie Taylor and know that there's $1 million riding on you? Maybe you can be in the gym all day shooting free throws, and then somebody pops up and says, hey, this next one's worth $1 million if you can sink it. I don't know if a lot of people are sinking it. So I don't know what kind of pressure that puts on. And to Eddie Hearn's point, when they said it with Ariel Helwani and Jake Paul at their face-off, that adds another layer. That's a lot of pressure, and stars rise to the occasion. What do they say? Pressure can break pipes and all that good stuff. Pressure makes diamonds, all that. That's a lot of pressure. $1 million on a women's fight. You could probably couple up all of Serrano's fights together, and I don't think it makes $1 million. So to have that, knowing, like Jake Paul said, if she wins it, it's hers. $1 million. I don't even know what her fight purse is, but $1 million bonus. Shoot, I'll jump in there and fight a lot of folks and give it my best for $1 million. Believe that. So I think it's an interesting fight. To Jimmy Blue's point, it's rivaling the same night as the Shakur Valdez, which is a major fight in its own. And it's the first fight they said to headline, the first women's fight to headline the Madison Square Garden venue there. So it's all major. It's all good for boxing. I have been very critical about women's boxing because, it's like the WNBA, the NBA. You give me free tickets to one of them, you know which one I'm going to. And is that fair? Is that right? I don't know, but it's just one's way more power, way more electric than the other. And I think this is trending in the right way when you start getting girls that are more competitive. And that's what makes great fights. It's just like when I would see UConn Huskies always winning championship after championship. And it's just because they have the best 5 girls in the whole nation, as opposed to, Baylor, who's coming up in women's basketball, South Carolina, all those. It's just UConn just had the best players available. And those 5 best girls were just mollywopping all the rest of the girls because there wasn't enough competitive talent. And in NFL, college football, NBA, any 5 can beat any 5 because it can be that talented when it comes to stuff like that. Look at the Maverick, shout out Luka Doncic. They just got past Utah. I don't know that a lot of people saw them doing that with no Luka. They did it because there's still a competitive edge when you're at high-level elite men's sports and high-level elite like Clarissa Shields. I think she gets a lot of buzz missed because she's just so much better than a lot of the other girls she was in. It just looks like she's fighting people that are not as talented as her, so she doesn't look as tested as maybe some people would want.
My boy's an ambassador, WNBA, baby. Let's go.
Hey, I just want to say you also dated yourself by saying mollywop.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm no young buck. I'm on the Triple G side, the older side. I'm rolling down the hill.
Hey, you ain't no spring.
Yeah, but you still having kids, man. Yeah, you better be changing diapers, man. So you old and free.
Diamonds
sir,
are forever,
yes, sir.
baby. White diamonds, Elizabeth Taylor. Let's go.
What you got, Courtney?
Well, I'm a date myself, man, and acknowledge that I'm an old school women's boxing fan. I've had a passion for the women's side of the game for a minute, going back to the Ann Wolf, going back to Lucia Riker, going back to the coal miner's daughter, Christy Martin, Layla Ali, all, all them legends in the game. And, it's kind of disappointing because and I made a post about this in Pound for Pound a while back, but it seems like they went way harder back then than they do now. It seems like you used to see way more. You used to see, like, back in the day, it was like you were seeing some nastier knockouts in women's boxing than you were on the men's side a lot of times. But now it's on a different trajectory where the women's game, where these women are complete boxers. They're very ring savvy. They're very intelligent. They're they're coming. They're being taught in the gyms now because they're training alongside of male boxers at a youth level how to incorporate basically everything that they're gifted with that brings them into the gym. And that's that we have another side. We have another side of the coin when women's boxing where we're seeing complete strategists and women that are coming in with varied styles or whatnot. And I think I think it's easy to dismiss it. It's easy to hate on it when you're not expecting it. But I think seeing this $1 million. First off, before we go into the $1 million bet, I think shout out to DAZN, shout out to Jake Paul, shout out to Eddie Hearn for getting behind this fight and promoting it full force, headlining it at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing, and like the purse is where both of these women are going to touch $1 million. That's that's momentous in that we're seeing a headlining women's fight where they're actually getting paid very decently. And my excitement about this, it goes back to when Noya Inoue and Chocolatito were starting to get love. We're starting to get that mainstream recognition. We're starting to get on HBO and stuff like that. And I know for sure Chocolatito hasn't even seen $1 million in the ring as far as for a purse or whatnot. So for them not only to be doing that, but for Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul to be putting their big dick energy behind their money, that's to me, that's on some level of Jeff Bezos and Branson racing each other to space or whatnot. And so I think that's boxing. I think that's sports, women's sports equivalent to that. And I just think I think that's momentous to see. And I think all who, whether you're curious about women's boxing, whether you're passively interested in it, or whether you're a hardcore women's boxing fans, I think it's a treat. It's high times that we're living to be able to get to see and experience a matchup like this with these two caliber of female fighters going into it. But to speak specifically on the matchup, I think this is one of those situations where the names and the hype and the promotion of the fight are leading us to want to see a good fight so bad that we're not honest with ourselves. And I'm going to be honest with myself as far as what I'm seeing and how I'm seeing it and not what I want to see. Yes, I would love to see this be a legendary barn burner, fight of the year contender type of fight. But in all reality, I think Amanda Serrano is about to dog Katie Taylor the fuck out. I don't even think it's going to be remotely competitive. As far as like the weight factor that's been mentioned, as far as like Amanda Serrano coming up, Amanda Serrano has fought various fights at 135. She's very acclimated to that weight. Amanda Serrano holds a title at 140 at one point. Amanda Serrano is just a fighter who has just been has the freakish ability to go up and down the scales. And then she's actually utilizing a pretty much an inherent advantage that a lot of women boxers are not utilizing and taking advantage of, and that a woman can fluctuate in weight far easier than a dude can, as far as being an athlete, as far as being someone in that frame. We'll see male fighters at the lower divisions go up and up and up and quit. But we've seen Amanda Serrano go up, go down, go up, go down. So I think the weight isn't going to be a factor at all. And I think from a height and a reach standpoint, she's got that on Katie Taylor. So I mean, as far as boxing acumen, as far as boxing ability, Katie Taylor is slick. You know what I'm saying? Katie Taylor's a gold medalist. She ain't nothing to be messed with. As Steven mentioned, there's been a couple fights where she's been taken to a dark place and got a couple gifts per se. But I mean, if we look at this fight and we look at it on paper and we look at the records that Tommy stated as he raised this matchup, that tells the story. Katie Taylor, she does not have the pop that keeps Amanda Serrano off of her. So Amanda Serrano, that's a girl you got to keep honest. That's that's somebody you got to give it back to, because they're damn sure going to give it to you. I do not see Katie Taylor being able to do that. And if you cannot do that, it's going to be a long night. Maybe after they cart your ass out of the ring. But I'm fully expecting to see Katie Taylor get clocked off this job relatively early.
But I hear what you're saying, but like I'm not gonna sit here and say that Amanda Serrano's a Triple G or a Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're at the end of the day.
In women's boxing, I'm a quote Roberto Duran. I'm not God, but I'm something similar. You know what I'm saying? Amanda Serrano, as far as the women's game, you know what I'm saying? As far as, numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, politicians lie like a motherfucker, but these numbers, they don't lie. And when we look at these numbers, we're seeing a very disparate advantage that one has over the other.
Did she knock out her last opponent? I don't know. I'm asking.
No, she made it to the last round. She made it. Okay. She made her last round. Yeah, she was on the Jake Paul undercard. You know what I'm saying? Her opponent made it to the last round, but her opponent, if you had seen her face in that fight, and you saw Katie Taylor's last opponent's face, Katie Taylor ain't never made nobody look like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who have we really? You know what I'm saying? We've seen Katie Taylor stop some people when she was in the prospect phase, who were overmatched with her or whatever. But have you seen Katie Taylor knock somebody the fuck out? Have you seen Katie Taylor really open somebody's face up? No. Have we seen Amanda Serrano do those things? Yes. Hey, and before we end the subject, and before I get off the mic with it, I want to give a big shout out to Amanda Serrano. Super bad Anita Estrada, alumnus of the show. Hey, that's basically our little sister over here, yo. Hey. Big props, and big props to women's boxing overall.
Yeah, That last fight that Serrano had, yeah, she did make it to the bell, but her nose was
Hamburger
about
meat.
this wide after the fight, like, and about this long. It was like her whole fucking head was.
My boy Reese will go the distance with her, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, shout out Mia St. John.
Hey, hey.
I don't know
Straight up.
tons of women's boxing, but I remember Mia St. John.
You remember that ass?
Hey, I do agree though. Like, to Courtney's point, like, so it could go a couple of different ways. Like, we could very well see, Katie Taylor be very slick in the ring. Use her ring IQ, box her fucking socks off, and pull out winning enough rounds and all of that, and survive it to win. But I just the aggressiveness, the experience, the power, regardless of if she's coming up right now. As Courtney mentioned, she's gone different weights. Different weights. She's gone up, she's gone down. Like, I think that ultimately, Katie Taylor has a pardon my French, but I'm being literal. She got a bitch coming after her. So when we talk boxing and
context
context. When we talk boxing and we talk having that dog and being able to turn that dog on, she turning that bitch on. Like, she like, when it comes to the dog, that's what I'm talking about. In the literal sense, she got one coming after, and she ain't playing no fucking games. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what we're going to end up seeing. We'll see a systematic breakdown where it's like, I know that you pretty much got pillow hands, and I'm gonna walk right through that shit. Like, you might have some nice moments in the fight, but you got pillow hands and you ain't ready for what I'm about to bring to you. So, I feel that this is not going to be as exciting as we expect it to be. I think it'll be more of what we predict it to be. But Steven, you over there laughing about the earthquake?
Yeah, Jimmy Blue's been on a cruise ship all night.
Hey, I gotta get a refill, bro. I mean, what do you want?
Hey.
I'm over here trying to keep a straight face. I thought it was me. I muted my shit. I'm on this. What's going on here? Hey, that reminded me like when I used to mouth breathe when we had the radio call-in show. It's like, yo, Ted. It's like, yo, Courtney, mute your shit, bro.
Don't remind me.
My boy said, WWF, baby. Let's go. Tight foot.
Let's go.
What? Okay. Where, like I said, I don't know. I'm gonna favor, just because, like I said, I said it before. Just because Courtney's going for Serrano, I'm going for Taylor.
If it's night right now, I can see it.
You contrarian ass motherfucker.
Like I said, Courtney can tell you night right now.
Terrence Crawford. He don't believe.
He
don't believe that.
And I'm right.
You don't believe that.
I do. I think Taylor has it, just to me. So we'll see.
If you really believed it, you wouldn't have brought up. I'm gonna go ahead because Courtney Tanner went this way. I'm gonna go this way.
I think she can do it. I think if Serrano was that big of a star, I don't know that she would have been there to be picked up by MVP Promotions that got started 3 weeks ago.
Bro, I got China, bro. China from WWF taking both of them, bro.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah. We can't say too soon, but like
man, we're crazy.
He said, nah, I'm just gonna wait on that one. All right. Hey, final topic. We on the last leg. We already know what it is. And Keith Thurman's famous words. Somebody's gotta go. We got, Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. Let's go. It's an MGM Grand. Let's get it. Jimmy Blue, come with it, man.
Bro, let me tell you, bro. Man, this is such a great fight. You know what I mean? And, Oscar Valdez, bro, be it as it may, he's always been an entertaining fighter. Both Olympians, both guys, straight for the Olympics. But we got to remember, Oscar Valdez, and I would be the first to admit it, bro, there was a lot of fights for him to fight at 120, 126. Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz, even, some could argue that he dug Shakur Stevenson at 126. Josh Warrington, all these guys, Gary Russell Jr., Abner Mares, Jojo Diaz, everybody that was at 126, for whatever reason, Oscar Valdez was moved up correctly, bro, by Top Rank. And that's just what Top Rank does. You know what I mean? So was he a true champion at 126? You can make the argument that he wasn't. Both guys are 2 division world champions, but in my opinion, bro, I feel that Shakur Stevenson has better boxing IQ. I think he's the bigger fighter. I feel that he is the superior fighter. He's a southpaw, and he does an excellent job, bro, of hitting and not getting hit. You know what I mean? And I think that, a lot of people always discredit Oscar Valdez, and, rightfully so, man. And even with him, with Miguel Burchett, a lot of people didn't give him credit, and a lot of people didn't give him a chance to win, and I was one of them. You know what? He surprised the hell out of me. But what happened in the very next fight? He got accused for his tea from China or whatever the hell's going on. His fucking he got busted and this and that, and I want to know where his mental state was. And you know what? It showed me in the next fight what happened, man. The dude was flat against Cano or whatever his name is. He looked like shit. You know what I mean? He has to turn it up a notch. And as much success as Team Canelo has had with Southpaws and most recently with Billy Joe Saunders, I don't necessarily know that he has the ability, or rather the skill sets to beat a Shakur Stevenson. I'm thinking Shakur Stevenson, unanimous decision. I think he's a better boxer. He's going to stay on the outside. And Oscar Valdez's only chance of winning is if he was somehow or another able to cut the ring off, get on the inside, and just let his hands go. But I think Shakur has an excellent jab. I think that he has excellent range, bro, and it's gonna be very, very hard for Oscar to be able to download his opponent, bro, with Shakur. And I think, I don't want to say it's going to be a boring fight, but it's going to be a very technical, a very strategic type of fight, more so on Shakur's side, because I don't think Shakur's going to be willing to engage. Now, yes, did we see Shakur engage with, Jamel Herring? Absolutely. But Oscar Valdez is a different beast. So he's going to have to move around, and he's going to have to pick and choose when he has to sit there and fight, because he's not going to be able to move around the whole fight, bro. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. But Oscar Valdez, I don't think he's going to reach him with his jab. I don't think he's going to be able to dictate the pace and set the tone early. So I think Valdez is going to be doing more head hunting than anything. And we saw it on the Tears and Blood. Well, where was Oscar's mindset? Oh man, the fans, everybody think I'm cheating. To me, it feels as if he has something to prove to show everybody that he's not a cheater and this and that. And Shakur's working with Bud, Valdez is working with Canelo. I mean, bro, this is a top tier elite of the elite, 2 top guys. Only one king can hold the throne type of fight, bro. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be very interesting. I think Shakur beats him, and I think he beats him easily, unanimous decision, bro, decisively.
Yes, sir. Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing with the call. Steven, get in the ring, man. What's happening?
I think it's going to be a good fight. I think there's a lot of storylines. It's a good fight. I mean, like you said, it's the best fighting the best. So it's what boxing needs. To Jimmy Blue, just to piggyback on what he's saying, you've got both guys in some great camps. I do think obviously that Shakur is the more talented, the better. We can say the better IQ from what we've seen from his level of opposition. My big storyline going into this is what's going to happen if Shakur does get buzzed or does get rocked. I've seen Oscar Valdez walk through the fire. I haven't seen Shakur do that. And we just assume all these boxers can do that. They're all ugas. They're all ready to fight with busted eye sockets. We don't know that yet with Shakur. And it's just because he's just been out there and just outclassing all his opponents. So I'm excited to see what Oscar does. I don't think he's just going to go out there and brawl. I think Eddie's too smart for that. I think Oscar's going to invest heavily in the body in the early rounds and try and wear on Shakur to see what he does. If that pop is still there when it gets to the later rounds, because to be honest, that is Oscar's only chance. You know what I mean? Like if he goes out there trying to outbox Shakur, he's going to get countered all night. It's just not going to be it's not set up for his fight. And Shakur even said it in the Blood and Tears, like Jimmy Blue alluded to. Oh, it's going to be a technical fight. Oh, that's good. That's good, because he knows that plays to his strength. So I got to see what he does when he pressures Shakur and how Shakur reacts to what I think Eddie Reynoso's game plan is, to attack the body much like his big brother Canelo does to a lot of these guys. Canelo's not going out there looking for a big overhand right hook, Dylan Whyte style, with no setup. They're setting up the body. They're setting up the body. You always hear Eddie Reynoso say, to the waist, and, and the body. So we'll see how that goes. To Jimmy Blue, when he said, Valdez looked like shit, that last fight, well, I mean, it is what it is. Everybody has a bad day in the office. I don't go to my job, rocking it 100% every day. Some days are good, some days are bad. So I think we'll see how it goes. Shakur had a stinker of a fight when he fought the guy that Burchelt just got beat by, the gentleman from Africa, because Shakur said, we knew he was a very big puncher, so I just did what I had to do to win, and it was a boring fight. So we can go off of different fights and how they looked, but at the end of the day, we all know as boxing pundits, styles make fights, and Teofimo said it. Valdez struggles with boxers, Shakur struggles with pressure. So we'll see who implements their game plan more, whose corner makes better adjustments. That's also going to be something to see, and we'll just see which guy comes at it. And like I said, obviously just like everybody, the head says Shakur. If you gave me money to double up, I'm putting it on Shakur. The heart, because I've seen Valdez go through wars with a broken jaw fight, so I want him to win because I've seen that dog come out of him. So it's just who wins on that one. To steal Ellie Setbacks phrase, the fans win. That's just a great matchup. That's not a fight we're going in there, I don't think, where we're just discrediting Valdez, and I think it's going to be a good fight to me.
The same Teofimo Lopez that said he beat and he won, he got robbed against Cambosos.
Hey, that's his own thing. Hey, everybody's got opinions. Everybody's got opinions. But he wasn't lying when he said Oscar Valdez struggles with boxers, and he wasn't lying when he said Shakur struggles with pressure. Hey, just
who is he struggling against though?
Those are Teofimo Lopez's words saying that's what Shakur doesn't like, is the pressure. Because like I said, what is the name of the guy that just beat the hell out of Burchelt?
Jeremiah Nakatia. But the thing is, did Stevenson struggle against him, or did he just not look like the Shakur Stevenson that we were hoping would, There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're going off of. Oscar Valdez is not a pillow puncher. He can hurt you. So that's what I think that's going to be a big factor. Is Shakur going to let his hands go because he's quoting him? We knew he was a big puncher, so I didn't open up as much. Well, are you going to do that with Valdez too? That's what's yet to be seen. That's why it's the fight game, and that's why styles make fights.
And that's why I'm intrigued by this fight.
Canelo Alvarez, bro. You said if Oscar Valdez is able to work the body and set up traps and set them up and this and that, I don't think Oscar Valdez has respectfully, disagree. Right? I don't think he has the
acumen.
boxing IQ as Canelo Alvarez to be able to do that, bro. Because we've seen Alvarez hurt. We've seen him fight through a broken jaw. We've seen him get dropped against lower level opposition, bro. To his defense, yes, he's got up. Yes, he's finished the fight. Yes, he's an Olympian, bro. But at the end of the day, I think this is a different level of opposition, a younger level, a bigger, stronger, faster. I think a better boxer, better technically sound. Man, he has the chips against him, bro. So I mean,
without a doubt. I said it. If you gave me money, I'm putting it on Shakur to double it. I'm not disagreeing with anything. I'm just highlighting the facts for Valdez, why he's a live dog underlined. He's not out there. Like I said, there's plenty of boxing mismatches where, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, and it does. That's boxing. That's why we love the sport. So that's just, to me, why he's doing that. Also, like you said, he doesn't have the ring IQ. That's fine, but that's why you have high-level trainers. I might not know how to do something, but you show me, or you give me a coach that's walking me step by step, I might actually get it done. And that's why I think it's big time when you have great trainers is they're going to think for you. You know what I mean? Mayweather or a Canelo, you let them go out there and you let them dance their own dance. So other guys, you can say, this is how it's going to be done. Follow these steps to this waltz, and I promise you'll be successful. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, Eddie Reynoso, Trainer of the Year, that's not to be discredited, and that's just something that's going to help you in a fight where you need every advantage you can get, especially when Shakur came in on the dot at 130, having to take off the chonies. Does the weight cut affect him when he maybe should be at 135 to Jimmy Blue's point? He's a bigger fighter. Should he be at 130? Some of these guys damage their bodies. Virgil Ortiz, sometimes that's been questioned. Are you damaging yourself going too low? Are you dipping down too far down? Does that hurt you in the fight? Like I said, these are just all little things that can play to an upset.
I'd make the same argument with your boy Canelo, moving up, moving down, moving up, moving down.
That's the pound for pound king.
All right, that's enough. I'm gonna get on the mic now. I'm reclaiming my time, bro. But I mean, on that note, you know what I'm saying? Eddie, Chepo, Canelo, they can't fight for Valdez any more than Crawford or Andre Ward can fight Shakur Stevenson. But I think the only thing that's really intriguing me about this fight, other than it being two big names, it being on ESPN, it getting the hype promotionally that it should, and these two high level dudes at 135. I mean, at 130 for 130 supremacy or whatnot. But I think ultimately, if I'm looking at it the way for what I see and not what I want to see, I think the question remains is Stevenson going to go in there and engage? Is he going to open up, or is he going to basically make it a pedestrian effort? I think if Stevenson goes in there and just and purely boxes, I think he wins it easily. I think he makes Valdez look silly. He takes him over his knee and gives him a lesson or whatnot. And Stevenson has said this, and he's made many comments alluding to this in the press and whatnot, is that he's viewing this as his opportunity to be to break out as a superstar or whatnot. Now, if he opens up, if he gauges, if he goes out there trying to impress and trying to win the crowd and trying to win the TV audience or whatever, then he's at risk. Because Stevenson is the type of fighter at this juncture, 126, 130, seeing what seeing how young he is, his stature, his frame and whatnot. I think he is at the stage where he's only going to get hurt based on the questionable decisions he has the potential to make, or if he wants to put himself in that position. I think Shakur Stevenson right now, where he's at 130, against all the guys at 130 who have the potential to challenge or put him in danger, he's only in danger if he wants to be. Now, 135, 140, is that going to be a different story because he's so small? Because he's small. I've met this dude. This dude is tiny, relatively. But as he goes up to 135, 140, then I see him having problems with that pressure, whatnot. But at 130 right now, I think he's going in there. He's doing what the fuck he wants to do, and I think Valdez, that he's going to be no exception. It's just going to be a matter of what does he want to do? Is he going to try to make a show of it and bang it out, and maybe get hurt, maybe face some adversity, and maybe he gets rewarded with that knockout in the later stages of the fight, or does he want to go in there and just basically carve Valdez up? And I think if he decides to do either, I'm saying, he's game for that. But if he chooses door number one, Valdez, he got hammers. I'm saying? That could make this fight entertaining. That can make this fight a topic of discussion. So I think the intrigue in this one is, what does Stevenson want to do in there?
Just real quick, the only thing I am saying is that some of these guys have the potential to be upset or have hiccups. Did I think Linares would be able to buzz Haney like he did a couple times? No, not at all. I thought Haney was going to box circles around him, but it happened. Did I think Pitbull?
But Haney put himself in that position.
Did I think Pitbull Cruz, a replacement fighter for Tank, was going to give him a good, long fight? No, but these are things where at the end of the day, you go into the fight, certain things can happen. And did anybody think Teofimo was going to lose to Camboso? No. But what happened? So these are all talented fighters, the next superstars. But what happens? They've all faced adversity. Who has not faced adversity yet? Shakur Stevens, because of the opposition that he's fought. So what I'm saying is, just be careful, because there's a dangerous curve around the road. And while you could be a Ferrari and get around it, no problem, you also have the potential to fly your ass right off that cliff. So, it depends on how hot you go into your point, Courtney Tanner.
I ride dart, bro. Dart bus.
Slow and steady. Make sure I get to the location.
I think you're on the dart bus now. You've been rocking.
Hey, he got the koozie out. It's real.
Hey, man. Yeah. He rocking it. Yeah.
Hey, he wiped that. He wiped his ass with that hat, though.
Hey, I think ultimately, like, everybody hit some great points, and also, shout out to Javier Roscoe from the Boxing Rundown with his insight on what he feels is going to happen, which I do agree with, because there's not too many points. He's going to have to take that Canelo route and pound on his arms and things like that to try to bruise him up a little bit, knock him off his square some. Because honestly, as we're talking here, we're talking somebody's has to go. We're talking Shakur Stevenson. We're talking Shakur, like, he's already getting the major notoriety, but he's not like at that superstar status. And it's gonna take these type of dominant performances for him to continue to elevate himself. And I feel like this is one of these moments where it's like, you're not gonna stop me. Like, you're not gonna stop me. This is one of these key times in my career as I'm up and coming and basically there, but still rising on that trajectory as a young star, a young superstar, that I got to make some of those statement fight right here. And I'm not only gonna just defeat this dude, I'm gonna snatch his fucking O from him. Like, I'm about to make a statement, like on this big night, where we've got where again, like we said, we've got a very big women's boxing match going on. Like, we just came off the heels of multiple big matches. Like, the boxing game right now is clouded with great talk.
And don't forget what we have next week.
Exactly. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like you got Canelo coming like right after it. Like, he's like, I refuse to be fucking drowned out by Canelo next week, Tyson Fury, Errol Spence. Like, I refuse. Y'all not about to punk me. I'm about to make a fucking statement. So I plant my flag in these 3 or 4 weeks of excellent boxing.
That Puerto Rican flag, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna plant this flag and you gonna be talking about what the fuck Shakur Stevenson did.
Bro, I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. You hit the nail on the head. I think the road less traveled, brother. It's the road less traveled. And I would argue, bro, that I would pay pay-per-view to watch this fight. I'm blessed that it's on ESPN, but I would pay pay-per-view to watch this fight because it's that level type of fight.
Yeah, but if we're in the era now that if it's free TV, you got to go ham. You know what I'm saying? You got to go ham and cheese. You know what I'm saying? If it's on free TV, you know what I'm saying? Because now motherfuckers will take that shit for granted. You know what I'm saying? But on the other end of it, if you go ham and egg and cheese and bacon and sausage on them, you know what I'm saying? People will come up off that $75. So, you know what I'm saying? It's all you. Are you know what I'm saying? Are you next? Are you up? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna make that Floyd statement where I took the heavyweights off pay-per-view? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it's go time.
Yeah.
Free never hurt nobody. That's what my mama used to say.
Yeah. I feel like he gonna do it right now, man. But since we talking pay-per-views, I just want to say that was some bullshit with Tyson Fury.
That undercard was straight basura.
The undercard, but then at the same time, like even though you had the ESPN Plus subscription, you had to do the pay-per-view too. That was some fuck shit. I wasn't feeling that shit. So I just want to say that. But hey, appreciate you guys. This was like fucking phenomenal. We got beers going everywhere. We got koozies. We got all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hey, salute to all of you.
Salute.
Jimmy Blue switched his brand up on air, yo. Like, that's hey, you know, he tried to get up on a good one, yo.
He did like the J-Lo. He had like 4 or 5 wardrobe changes. He had a scenery change. Like, we had clouds, we had trees, we had the garage.
Hey, the party don't start. Hey, the party doesn't stop after we stop right here, bro. We can keep it going, baby. You know what I'm
talking about, bro? Let's go.
Hey, Jimmy Blue, up drink Bisto in your garage any day of the week, yo. Hey, you will. Hey, I acknowledge you.
Hey,
we're gonna have to see Jimmy Blue creeping in the streets, baby. Let's go.
Salsa merengue, baby. Salsa merengue.
Yes, sir. Hey, shout outs. Most definitely. We're gonna start with you, Steven. What parting words, man? What you got?
I just want to thank y'all again. Every time I can be up here and just talk and just be the opposite of Courtney Tanner, invite me every time. I love it. Shout out Jimmy Blue, All Access Elite Boxing. Like I said, Tommy Rush. I talk to you. I call you. We talk that boxing shit every now and then when you're not being CEO of your company. So just shout out to all the panelists. Jimmy Blue, shout out Jose Rendon, In Vivo Boxing, who my uppercuts, Standing 8, Aaron. Like I said, Courtney Tanner. All of y'all, like I said, it's just stuff like this is what makes it go. It's stuff that this is what I love to do. I love to engage in boxing. So I'm super excited. Shout out to everybody out there that stayed in and hung in with this one and watched this amount of time. I appreciate everybody.
Most definitely, man. And hey, once again, congratulations. Congratulations. You're gonna be a father again, man.
Hey, that's about to be a pretty ass baby.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank y'all.
Most definitely. Hey, love the pictures, everything. It was phenomenal. I was like, oh, let me make sure they got that.
My boy.
It was official.
Shout out to Noe G, one of the best boxing photographers in the game. I pulled all kinds of strings to get that guy to come out. He's hard to get. Luckily, he was like, you know what? I'll do it. I got him out there. He is a Noe G, phenomenal. Wedding videographer, boxing, you name it, he does it. So shout out to him. Like I said, thank y'all again. And we'll hopefully, just happy and healthy is all I pray for. And, we'll go from there.
Most definitely and absolutely. Hey, shout out to Noe G, man. Dude's a fucking beast. Yo, Jimmy Blue, what's happening? What you got with your sign-offs, homie?
Look, man, I want to first and foremost, man, thank the Standing Gate podcast, my boy Tommy, man. Shout outs to Courtney, shout outs to Aaron, man. You know what, man? I it's a pleasure, right? It's always a pleasure to talk boxing, man. But being able to talk boxing with boxing enthusiasts, boxing experts, boxing media, and it's one of those things, man, where we may agree to disagree on certain topics, but it's all fun and games because you can play the devil advocate, all you want. You can play that card, but I truly have a lot of respect for all of these guys on the panel. Shout out to my boy Steven Reese, aka Ringside Reese. Shout out to my boy Jose Ridden, aka the Boxing Prophet. Stacks, the Boxing Ruckus. You know what I mean? My boy Xavier, my boy Noe G Dallas, Long Live Boxing. Everybody that's from Dallas, everybody that's just part of the media game, man. Everybody that showed me love, and it's all love, man. At the end of the day, it's a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Boxing, it's not for everybody, man. But you know what I mean? It's for somebody. And that somebody is the true purist. We're the ones that keep the boxing alive. We're the ones that keep the boxing talk on point. Because at the end of the day, bro, if we're not talking about it, if we're not conversating, if we're not debating, then who the hell else will? You want to see that shit on ESPN, the First Take? You don't want to see it on there because those guys are what we like to call casuals. So we're always going to talk boxing, man. And, I just appreciate, again, my boy Tommy and allowing me to be on your platform. Courtney and everybody, man. Like I said, everybody makes excellent points. And we only make ourselves better, man. Just being able to talk the sweet science and to elevate the sport that we love, man. So shout outs, salute to everybody, man. Jimmy Blue, All Access Elite Boxing, baby. Let's go.
Word up, man. Word up. Hey, Burt Brown Sugar, go ahead and kick that Oscar speech going. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Hey, a beautiful evening, man. Hey, shout out to everybody who stuck with us for, close to 2.5 hours. We hope, we provided, value for the content. And you didn't just take it as a four drunk ass dudes on a video conference call. We hope we really hope that we dug in there and if you found some education, if you found some entertainment, you found both. We're just glad and humbled that you took something away from it, and you could have been anywhere. You could have spent your Friday evening any way you wanted to, but we're blessed that you decided to spend it with us. And we thank y'all. Jimmy Blue, Stephen Ruiz, hey man, thank you so much. We are so humbled to have you on the show and to be able to rock with us once again, and and just present it as an opportunity for some of our fans to become your fans, and some of y'all's fans to hopefully become some of our fans too, man. Absolutely. And we can just spread love, man. I always say, like I said earlier, saying this is a sacred brotherhood and a fraternity, man. And I don't believe, as far as a lot of the beef, a lot of the pettiness that goes on sometimes that we see within the boxing punditry on the social media platforms. There's enough. There's enough of this for everybody to get some. And as long as nobody tries to be, something that they're not, or try to take too much, we're always gonna have enough for y'all, and we're always gonna have enough love to spread, and just basically to offer everybody. And hopefully, everybody will take something from each one of our platforms, and to spend magnificent evenings chopping it up and talking that shit. So Jimmy Blue, Stephen Ruiz, may the realness that resides in me be ever mindful, be ever cognizant, be ever aware of the realness that resides in y'all. Shout out to Aaron Sorial, the behind the scenes, the mastermind behind this shit. Shout out to Michael Gomes. Hopefully he'll be back on with us soon. Shout out to esteemed alumnus Daniel Pena. D-Rock, we love you. We miss you, dog. We look forward to having you back sooner rather than later on the show. Shout out to everybody who rocks with us in Pound for Pound. Nick Angarame, Chris Ramos, Julio Z, Michael Cockrell, Roy Bennett, the First Lady of Boxing, Tiffany Daniels, Marcus Nall, all of our partners in Vivo, Just Boxing, Anthony Stack, Saldana, Sean Fitzgerald, those boys at Front Proof, Hector Franco and Joseph Correa. And basically shout out, we global. So I always want to take the time to shout out our international viewers and listeners, whether you're staying up way late with us on the other side of the world in other time zones, or whether you're catching us on the various platforms, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Pandora, the Apple Podcasts or whatever. Hey, we love and we thank y'all. Hey, and I'm not going to do the full rundown or walk around the globe because we've been on for a while. But hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We acknowledge y'all, and we hear y'all. And for everybody who chimed in and hit us up on the boards with the comments, hey, we love y'all for that. Hey, thank you once again for spending the evening with us. And y'all know it's a movement, man. You know what I'm saying? Bring a friend. Bring two of them. Make sure they bring a friend. Bring your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunties, your uncles, your next door neighbor, your significant other, your baby mama. Hey, bring them all. Hey, we got love over here, and we chopping it up, and we're going to continue this movement.
We got scene change number 7. We got the closing ceremony scene. Hey.
The crescendo.
This shit's been live, y'all. This shit's been fucking live. Hey, I just want to shout out each of you guys, like for sticking in here. Like we said, all of the pundits, all of the fans, all the listeners, all the subscribers, to All Access Elite, to Ringside, to the Standing 8, to everybody in Vivo, like Front Proof, everybody, Just Boxing. All of us that's out here getting it on. See Hendo, like shout out to the boy. See Hendo, he be out there working. You know what I'm saying? Like all day, every day, like
working.
Everybody that rock with us, everybody that we rock with, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to all of y'all's families, all of you guys, man. Hey, the Standing A Podcast, episode 82. It's been fucking live, fellas. Most definitely appreciate every single one of y'all. We out. Hey, everybody have a wonderful good night.
Salute.